carriers. Who cares if I lose them? And then just pop back and keep mining. You know, and never make an enemy. What I'll do is I'll make a save at the beginning of the day, and I'll spend all day sacking some enemy, right? And then I'll just revert back to the morning and then just continue to make more money. And I will never have enemies in this game, which means that the only mining ships that I lose are like incidental and kind of one every 1 or 2 or 1 to 5 a day or something like that. So every 3 days I've got to buy like another 15. But in the meantime, they've made me like enough to afford like 45 already. It's like that. And so I can't wait until it's better, right? It'll be really cool. Like, get 15 fucking carriers and go attack some defense platform, and we're gonna see like for like 45 minutes the battle plays out, and I'm like, like I'm just like watching through the window and shit. It's gonna be fucking cool. And honestly, this is one of the harder games that is on the market. I can't think of a harder game than this, maybe. Star Citizens may be harder than this because if you crash, you die. In this, you can just bump off asteroids and stuff. It's not really interested in collision damage, I don't think, very much. Star Citizen's harder in the respect that you have to respect the physics boss, or he'll own you. But I mean, this game has most of that. It just doesn't have like crashing into things very much. Or I guess you can crash into things, yeah. But it's not a physics-based game. It's a space battle RTS, and I believe I can get like 15 carriers and like 400 like tiny ships or whatever they're called, frigates. I can get like 400 frigates and 15 carriers and shit before I hit my limit or something like that. Before they're like, the AI can't handle it, and it'll be fucking awesome to get all that together. Just like order it up, right? I just keep the money in my account liquid, like I'll have hundreds and hundreds of millions of credits, right? And then when I want to have fun, I just go dump the entire nest egg on the biggest army I can fucking afford, and then I just go sack some defense platform for like an hour and a half or something, and then I just reload the save. And I lose an hour and a half that way, but I don't ever have to reload or start a new save. I don't ever have to start the game over. Because what happens in sandboxes like this, and I've done it on RTSs before, and I know all this stuff from all these other games from my childhood and stuff. But if you make an enemy, even one enemy, you can't live there forever because they just endlessly send. You can't play that game forever. And Sid Meier is a lot like this. They just keep producing materials by farming. They spend those money on military units, and they send those military units in strike patterns at you over and over and over and over again until they run a war of attrition. And if you're AFK or you're not paying attention or you don't want to fight them or you're thinking about farming or you're like worried about a base or something, they just they just keep chunking you until you lose your empire. They'll come home they'll reach all the way to your Ender Wiggin station, the battle school. They'll reach all the way to your battle school, and they'll kill your battle school, and you'll be out of the materials and money to buy the defense you need to stop the onslaughts. And that's how the game ends. That's how the sandbox that's how every sandbox game ends. That's how Caves of Cut is. That's how the Caves of Cut is not like that because it's not RTS. But yeah, there's this point where if you pissed off the wrong faction, they actively start coming into the zone to hunt you and shit, and they start spreading across the land, and they show up in numbers that you can't live, and it is a roguelike. So I lost another mineral. Well, the Plutus are the cheap ones. And the drills. The drills and the Plutus are the cheap minerals. I've lost 5 ships today, which is like, I don't know, 15 mil, and I've made 15 mil just in the last 4 hours. So it is good math still. You always gotta watch the money going out and the money coming in to make sure they balance. This one's sitting there waiting for orders, I think. No, he's doing business. There's one that, Perseus Vanguard, that one's waiting for signal for some reason. No, also, if you have no enemies, and anybody in your entire empire contacts you and says that they're under attack, you can just, is that? Yeah, like, no, okay, what is that? Oh, yeah, Queen's Guard stuff. So, see this? There's, like, these 3 dudes harrying, like, a mineral miner, and it's not even my mineral miner. But eventually, I'm just gonna hop in my carrier and go visit that and kill these 3 ships, you know? It'll be entertaining to watch. It is a really good game. I wish Starfield was as good as this game, but X4 has a better meaty core than Starfield. Enter the Vellum. Oh, is it gonna be a shitty flying mission? I think it is. Enter the Vellum. Oh, am I not flying? Oh, I'm not flying. Oh, okay. Nice. Is he gonna fly me? Dope.
Stand by for takeoff.
Dope. I love this game. So dope. I love the RP of this. You know what it makes? You know what it reminds me of? The Aviator when he takes Kate Blanchett flying, and he's like, you wanna steer? And she's like, yeah. And then she touches the steering wheel, and he's sickened by it. He's like, I don't want to touch the steering wheel ever again. That's such an interesting scene. Wow. Okay. Well, are we going to Cayo Perico? What is going on? Are they going to shoot this jet down?
So, today, I'm planning ahead. That's what you pay me for, huh?
Not kidding.
We steal a Titan. They're going to send everything they've got at us. They've got a lot, so we use the advantage we have. Use the Titan against them. And to do that, we need supplies, we need munitions. So it's on the cargo ship I'm sending you to. You just have to swoop in with the choppers, grab the ammo, grab the tech, and run, you know? Tranquilo, huh?
This looks so good. This is like the best looking game I've ever
jump
played.
out here. And, you know, maybe make sure you got a parachute first, eh? I'll stay on comms. Thank you for flying with Capitan Guzman. My guys have arranged for some vehicles you can use, but, you know, gotta remember, only the heavy lift chopper will be able to collect the equipment. It's because it's a 3D game. It like sucks you into it because of the 3D playing. What was that sound, drone? Sounds easy, but when they're trying to shoot you down, not so much. aircraft trailers, being hooked onto a chopper and dropped in the sea. You know, just saying.
Code red! I repeat, code red!
See the explosives they've got on board? Man, you can light them up.
I don't like this mission. You shouldn't have done this mission.
Serious. Just drop that shit on top of them.
All hands!
Dying might fix it. I'll restart a checkpoint and maybe it'll fix it. I don't want to start over, god damn it. Don't start over. It's a bad mode. It's a bad mission. I knew it would be.
Secure the cargo!
Shit. Jammer signal expired. Get ready. Their backup's on its way. If you keep low, they're way less likely to pick you up on their radar.
Restart a checkpoint, damn it. Go again. Oh, I didn't get in because this mission's too long. I'm gonna wait.
There was a fundraiser, I believe, that was the acute conflict that the judge recognized, and so that's what we're getting into. This is directly applicable to this case.
I don't find it relevant.
My guys have
But he's a
arranged for
friend and I gave him some money when he was
vehicles
running.
you can use, but, you know, gotta remember, only the heavy lift chopper will be able to collect the equipment.
And I'm asking people to give Tanya Miller for Georgia some money so we can get a good attorney general in here.
Yup.
Not a corrupt one that puts false things on screen.
So Mr. Jones was a candidate for lieutenant governor, is that correct?
It should be noted at the time of that ruling, which I still find to be ridiculous, Mr. Bailey was not running against Mr. Jones. He was running against Kwanzaa, and I can't remember his name. It was a Democratic race. but the ruling was found. I take exception with many of that judge's actions, but, you know, I'll leave that for another day.
You know, these could work in our favor.
At the time of the fundraiser that you did, it was in a primary, and you knew that whoever...
That's a great point. It was a primary. It was not a general. He was not running against Burt Jones. That was a fabrication of facts. He was running against Kwanzaa Hall. His name just came to me. You get older and forget things, but he was running against Kwanzaa Hall, and I did a fundraiser for him. That is absolutely correct. And I need to give me some money back, $2,500.
Mr. Jones moved to have you disqualified from the investigation based on your fundraiser. Is that correct?
Yes, and that's something else that I'd like y'all to take up as a legislative body. I think that when judges rule on things that are directly in the favor of legislatures, we should have a bar of when they can be appointed to the next bench. Because I'm watching a lot of judges in my career do things in an effort to kind of say, pick me, get promoted. And I think that it would be some good legislation of this body and of the legislature to say that if a judge directly rules on something in the favor of any legislature, it should bar them from being promoted. That'd be some legislation, since y'all want some help with legislation.
And Judge McBurney granted the motion to Mr. Jones to have you disqualified. Is that correct?
Correct. And then surprise, Scandalakis dismissed the case.
We're going to get to Scandalakis in just a second, but Judge McBurney said that it was, quote, a plain and actual and untenable conflict. Is that correct?
He did.
He described it, I believe, in oral commentary and said that he regarded the optics were horrific. Described it as a what were you thinking moment.
The left researcher described McBurney as unethical. We're going to talk about, you know, people pontificating. Is that what we're doing here?
I'm just laying, we're going through the fact pattern of this case. As you referenced, Mr. Peter Scandalakis, as head of PAC, continued the investigation after you were disqualified. He concluded the investigation did not further warrant further action after interviewing Mr. Jones 4 times and reading the entire file, among other things. Did you give
Mr. Scandalakis has never read our entire file. When he just dismissed his case, there's no way that he read the entire file. There's no way that he reviewed all the evidence. It's no way that he interviewed witnesses. But as Counselor set up shitting and grinning in front of the media saying, oh, we know this case going to be dismissed, I bet you do.
Are you familiar with a company called Canal Media Partners?
My fundraiser. I think that's the name of my fundraiser. No. Canal Media Partners is who I pay to do filming or something. It's somebody I pay.
On the screen, we've got your 2024 summary from the State Ethics Commission page, and Canal Media Partners is listed as the second highest paid expenditure of your successful DA campaign.
They do great commercials, use them.
To the tune of $527,000. It's my understanding from looking at their website that they do media buying, among other things.
That's why I won by 87%.
And there's a gentleman by the name of Mr. Chris Hutman, who
is brilliant.
Does work for you. So you're familiar with Mr. Hutman?
He is brilliant.
What does Mr. Hutman do?
He buys media space. And if you're an elected official listening, you might want to hire him because he is able to go and find you the best rate so that you can get the best media. So really the best bang for their buck. Don't mean this to be a commercial, but I mean, I did win by 87%. You might want to work with him.
His LinkedIn shows present work with or employment at. It doesn't clarify either, but it shows that he's been at Canal, which we've talked about for the last 13 years. And with a company called 2020 Insight, LLC, for the last 15 years. Are you familiar with a company called 2020 Insight?
It sounds familiar, but no. I might have paid him. I just don't remember.
According to 2020 Insight's current website, it is a partnership between, well, they don't say partnership here, but this states under their Who Are We, it lists Mr. Jeff DeSantis and Chris Hutman, Mr. DeSantis being the same one that serves in your office, and Mr. Hutman being the gentleman that we just talked about that you referenced.
I don't know that he currently still works for him, but we could have got to that question 3 questions ago. I know at one point they worked with each other.
The website for saying that Mr. DeSantis is current, but it's your testimony today that you don't know whether he does work with 2020 Insight before.
I don't know that he actually continues to work with them, but I certainly know that in the past that he worked with him.
Is it your understanding that Mr. DeSantis and Mr. Hutton were business partners?
I really don't know what their professional relationship was, so I don't want to speculate. I will tell you this, the governor talked about old men having to go to the bathroom. 54-year-old women do as well, so we don't have to get me to a bathroom break.
We'll take 5.
Thank you.
I'm just never gonna finish off some you and your fucking failures. Fuck you. Fuck your missions, fuck your bosses. Your design is a disgrace. And I'm saying that about Rockstar. Fuck you. The fuck's your problem, asshole? Some missions were always like this too in Rockstar games. I remember now. Some of the missions were literally like getting fucking butt rape torture. I remember some of them were like, why does this mission take 5 hours? 5 hours? Do you have any sense that we're human beings with lives and family and bathroom breaks and stuff? 5 hours, you fucking idiots. It takes way, way too long to do most of these missions. You're stupid. I can't stand quest-based missions. I don't know why I keep doing them. I'd rather just let they're like, because it makes this business pay more money, but they put it behind such a butt rape torture gate that I don't want to do it. I was gonna take the $15 a day or whatever to not even use this piece of shit. Fucking piece of shit business was a waste of time. It was bad advice. Fuck this place. I'm not coming back. Did the stash, did the casino. I think I'm like kind of done now. Or I guess I should go back and do a sale, a truck sale, I guess. So this is taking forever. Let's go. This is a bathroom break. This is
We sure like
Any questions?
Good afternoon.
Many questions from the minority party would go through the minority leader or an individual designated by the minority leader. And Leader Jones is here. You've indicated you will be asking those questions on behalf of the minority party. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Leader Jones.
And that actually be pretty brief. Hopefully we're near the end here. Madam DA, nice seeing you.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you too. I do have one quick disagreement point with you. As a fellow person from the MEAC, we all know that South Carolina State University is actually the university.
There always has to be a number 2.
And they won the championship.
They did win the championship. Absolutely. I did have a question for you because I was wondering if I had the numbers correct. Did you say $80 million was spent by the AG's office in one period of year?
In 1 year, yes, sir. I have this exhibit. You are welcome to it. It runs, and it's $80 million just for the special prosecutors. In 2025, it was $75,744,000. In 2025 to date, so the year is not over, they have spent $80,056,000. What we did was collect the 13 top people that received money, MR, because we didn't think it was necessary for people to know who they were, but you can get this off the made $8,181,000. The 13th person on the list, so everybody else is in between, made $1,050,000. This is in one annual year.
And thank you, and thanks for clearing that up. I did have a question also about the block billing, and I know that you didn't really look at the bills, but just kind of asking from a standpoint of just, I guess, experience. It could also be just as reasonable that whoever was actually looking at the bills could say, look, I don't need every phone call. I don't need every witness name that you talk to. Just give it to me in one kind of block, and we do it that way. And by the same token, someone else could say, no, I want every single thing. And you just have a difference about how the person can input it into their particular system. Is that accurate?
Ms. Whitmore, who is the CFO for the county, is a stickler. If she paid a bill, it was done to whatever the county rules are. But again, you're asking me to speculate?
Yeah.
I never saw the bills. I don't see the invoices. And that's a good point of clarification. Several documents have been put up this morning. I can't attest to the accuracy of any of them. In fact, it is clear that some of them have been augmented, and they're not authenticated documents. So no document that's been shown here today has been authenticated, and it's clear that some of them have been altered. But whether they've been altered or haven't been altered, it was my first time seeing them.
Right. In any event, however a person wants to get the billing or not, would you think that this is actually a good way for us to come up with a recommendation on how local DAs or solicitors should actually try to do their billing for outside counsel? That the Georgia General Assembly should decide this is how we should do our billing practices.
What I think is that the voters should elect ethical district attorneys, and that those district attorneys should do the things that are needed to make their communities safer, and that I always like the idea of, for me, I don't think it's necessary for every DA, but I liked that the county looked at our documents. I didn't have to do that, but I knew I was a black DA. I knew I was the first woman DA, and so I took extra precautions because I understand what that means.
Absolutely. And you also want, I think, kind of clarify on this White House trip where you're saying you were actually on the lawn. I didn't know if you want to
I was not at the White House,
right.
And so that has been a lie that has been purported by members of this committee. What happened is, I know we don't like to talk about Black history, right? We want to get rid of Black history museums. We want to get rid of, and I want to say this, we want to get rid of free admissions to parks on Juneteenth and on Martin Luther King's birthday. But I'll let you know something. I appreciate our president because he made free admissions to parks on my birthday. So I do appreciate that. Hopefully King Petty don't get rid of that day. But right now you can get into a federal park on my birthday for free. Now, with that being said, that was a party celebrating Black History Month. And I was so excited to get the invitation. And leaders from all across the country literally came to not the White House, because I never went to the White House on that trip, and I think I was there like 24 hours. It was at the Vice President's house, but not actually at her house. It was in a tent on the lawn. Quite frankly, while we were there, I never got a chance even to meet the vice president, which was disappointing. I thought, you have all these people from all over the country there. You would like kind of do an assembly line and sign and, everybody take a picture, but that did not even occur. She did come on the stage at one point with her Secret Service all around her. I don't know what was going on, but Secret Service was all around her. But it was still a very valuable trip because I got to meet leaders from all over the country that were trying to service their communities. And so I was honored that I was thought to be a leader worthy of having an invitation to that event.
Thank you. And there was also a question about whether, Judge Wade had met with somebody from the January 6th committee and things of that nature. But let me ask you this, whether that took place or not, and there's a question about that, but whether that took place or not, would that have any relevance to the co-conspirators in this case who are going around from state to different states making that stuff about the 2020 election and actually trying to do the things that they were trying to do in this case?
We based our case on what we investigated. And as someone from the South and as a black woman, I've taken a lot of offense to this because there's been this indication that I'm not smart enough or people from the South aren't smart enough to be able to do this type of complex investigation.
Yeah, it's
we did
bullshit.
it. It was my team who did it. We did it all. And Dolezal, I hope that I pronounced your name right because I want Senator Dolezal, asked about ethics. I think he should know if we want a full picture of ethics that Judge McBurney, who he just mentioned, one of the fake electors threw him a fundraiser. So while we having facts, I want to make sure we get all the facts out here.
And when we're talking about also with, Judge Wade and billing and things of that nature, did that cause at all, I think the record would show that the vice president's personal attorney, based on what these conspirators actually were doing, actually called a former federal judge and said, you need to send out a tweet to say that Vice President Pence must actually certify this election because he was so concerned that there might be denied a certification coming January 6th. Anything about this billing have any impact on any of that kind of thing taking place at all?
Nothing about this billing can bring back the 5 lives that were lost on January 6th, to include, I understand that 4 were people that were in the mob, but they didn't deserve to lose their lives. 1 is very personal to me because it was a police officer just trying to serve. And here goes another example of a good American, and this is not about parties as you all have tried to make it. They tried to kill our Vice President Pence. Now, I probably have never agreed politically with anything Pence said, but what I do know is he has a right to do his job and to be free from harm. And we're trying to, you know, we say we're not for violent crime, but we sure like violent criminals if it's helping our cause.
Yep. And we also talked about, what is it called, critical measures? Or mentions, critical mentions. So even discussing that, would critical mentions actually have anything to do with the fact that just yesterday, as a matter of fact, two former co-conspirators, case has been dismissed, I think Mr. Roman and Mr. Cheeseborough, just yesterday in Wisconsin, was held to answer charges, 4 felony charges, for actually creating a fake elector program that was similar to what was prosecuted right here in Georgia. That they're going to be felony charges facing those, and there were 2 conspirators in this particular case who had the same kind of scheme. Anything about his billing or anything about critical mentions have anything to do with the fact that 2 persons that were indicted in your case, right now, just yesterday, a judge in Wisconsin said you're going to face charges, 11 charges, based on similar scheme that took place in Georgia.
No, and it should be noted that Roman was indicted in 3 separate states, and that many of the co-defendants were indicted in separate states because, you know, and let's be clear so the record is clear, in my indictment in Arizona, they indicted John Eastman, Gina Ellis, Ruben Giuliani, Mark Meadows, and Mike Roman. Mike Roman was represented by Merchant, who came here and testified. In Wisconsin, they also indicted Cheeseborough and Roman. And so, you know, we could go on and on about, in the federal case had only one defendant, Donald Trump, but he was also indicted in my case. So these defendants committed crimes in our state and other states, you know, and there's all this talk about political enemies. Not one of these defendants do I consider to be my political enemy. I'm sorry that they think of me as an enemy. I guess they don't know that their job is to serve me, to work for me, to make life better for me and my family, but they are not my political enemy, and I actually pray for them because I see issues.
And also within Wisconsin, the quote-unquote fake electors there actually got sued. And the discovery in that case was over 577 pages. Now, you didn't get to the discovery process in your particular case, but I'm just curious because we were talking about Mr. Scandalakis and how deep he had gotten to your case. How voluminous was your case at the time it stopped?
Huge, you know, much of this room it could fill up, if not all of this room. It was huge. It was lots of witnesses that had to do a lot of work was put into this, because I always want to make sure that I am a fair DA, and that's why you see a grand jury recommending 39 people based on their conduct being indicted, and me cutting it down to 19, because I'm only going to put forth those with the worst evidence who did the worst things. But I'm also a fighter for victims, and I was fighting for the victims in this case. And the fact that, you know, to some prosecutors, Ruby Freeman and her daughter have no value, she has value to me, and she should have value to other Americans, because what happened to her is horrible. And for someone to say they couldn't prosecute a defendant who came in a room and lied for the grand jury, I mean, a baby prosecutor could have prosecuted it, but, you know, that's neither here nor there.
And lastly, where we're talking about billing being correct or things of that nature, or critical mentions, does any of that change the impact, I think, what these co-conspirators were doing based on the indictment, that the goal was, the ultimate goal was to overthrow the 2020 election? That
was the ultimate goal. And we've had people that are supposed to be leaders that instead of being leaders are just cowering down. This country needs leaders, not cowards.
Yeah.
I don't have anything else, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Leader Jones. I've got a few more questions here. Some of this, Madam DA, will be a little bit more, I guess, philosophical manner. I want to get your take on some of the testimony that we've had prior to your arrival around some of the state laws. You've shared some of your thoughts already on some of those things. But one thing that we've talked a lot about in the committee is the use of special purpose grand juries. Can you, for the benefit of those watching, outline the difference between a grand jury and a special purpose grand jury?
A special purpose grand jury is for the purpose of investigating. They are not legally allowed to put forth an indictment. And so that is what a special purpose grand jury is for.
So, and you referenced this earlier, the process of going to 2 grand juries. In your case, with the use of the special purpose grand jury, you went from that special purpose, which was used for investigatory means that you mentioned, and then ended up ultimately with a grand jury. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. It's been described to me that a grand jury exists to essentially put a check on prosecutorial power, to require the prosecutor to have to prove some element of grounds to bring an indictment. Would you agree with that statement?
It's one way to phrase it.
How would you phrase it?
That a grand jury is made up of citizens, that the citizens are brought there. I'm the only DA in the state. I do grand jury 4 days a week. So I have an A grand jury. It runs on Monday and Tuesday. And I have a B grand jury. It runs on Thursday and Friday. And we bring forth cases to the grand jury. We're usually law enforcement, but sometimes lay witnesses testify. If the grand jury finds that there is adequate evidence, they will put forth an indictment. It should be known by the general public that not all felonies require an indictment. Some of your lower level felonies you can do by accusation, just like you could do a misdemeanor. But for any serious felony, you need to go to the grand jury.
You may have touched on this, and I'm just going to ask you to, in the context of this conversation, outline it again if you don't mind. What was the reason for the use of a special purpose grand jury in this election case?
To investigate, to make sure. I took this matter very seriously. I was not just going to charge people with a crime before I found evidence. And sadly, a lot of people in government, the governor and other officials, refused to testify unless they had a subpoena. Well, I can't get a subpoena unless I have a special purpose grand jury. And so we served them with subpoenas, and they honored their subpoenas, and they came forward.
So with the grand jury for out-of-state witnesses, there's no way to get, for a regular grand jury, to get a subpoena?
For a regular grand jury, but by the time you're before a regular grand jury, you're indicting. And I didn't go into this case knowing that there would even be an indictment brought forth.
Tell me about a material witness warrant, what the process is to get one, and when one would be used.
When someone won't cooperate, you have to go get one.
Do you have to get one for all out-of-state witnesses unless you're using a grand jury? I'm sorry, a special purpose grand jury?
You can get a material witness warrant for a witness in a trial. We have had to get material witness warrants for someone in a trial. So I don't know that I understand your question, but basically when someone will not cooperate, it requires you to go get a warrant. Typically you have to send someone to that state. They have to testify as to why this person is material. Then the judge there makes a determination, yes, they are material. They sign the warrant, they come down. That's very brief, but that gives you kind of the gist of what a material witness warrant has been used. I've used them many times in my career.
My understanding is essentially you need 2 judges. What sounds like one's the out-of-state judge, one would be a Georgia judge to compel that testimony. Is that accurate?
Because they have to make a determination that it's actually material.
And with a special purpose grand jury, you have the ability to send essentially a letter and a warrant to whomever you wish and compel them to testify without the process of going through the material witness warrant. Is that accurate?
Yeah, again, we're getting into the weeds. We needed a special purpose grand jury because I need to be able to issue subpoenas. So you can issue subpoenas from the grand jury to bring the people there to testify. And so if you're asking that we do that process, you know, we fought in every court in this land. Lindsey Graham took us all the way to the Supreme Court of the United States, who unanimously, I believe, yeah, I think it was unanimously voted that he would have to come in to appear.
We are getting in the weeds, just indulge us, because we do need to, the law needs to be specific, and not sure if you watched the testimony. We had a couple DAs that testified, one of whom, and I apologize, I don't recall the gentleman's name, he essentially, I'm going to paraphrase here, said that he believed that, or I think he stated that it would be fine with him if we struck the entire code section as it related to special purpose grand juries, because in his opinion that kind of blurred the line between investigator and prosecutor and put you in the position of kind of being the investigator and the trier of fact. And I'm not I don't know if you've heard about this testimony or
I
not.
haven't heard this testimony, but what I do know is Coca-Cola and the girl that sells lemonade, they both sell liquids, but it ain't the same work. And so you brought people from jurisdictions that do not do the complexity of cases that I do. Now, all work is honorable work, so hear that. And prosecutors everywhere are trying their best to uphold the law. But to get somebody from a jurisdiction where they got 15 lawyers and, you know, they bring a grand jury once every 6 months, and to ask them to discuss my work where I'm running grand jury 4 times a year and 12,000 new felony cases. I'm sorry, 4 times a week, and, you know, 12,000 felonies a year is the most complex cases, you know, that this state sees. I don't think you were talking to people that you should have been. So I disagree with him, and I don't even think he has the ability to comment on the work of the Fulton County DA.
Well, in fact,
And I noticed that you didn't bring any diversity here when you brought witnesses. You brought all Republican, Caucasian people to come and to tell you about my work. I don't need Daddy to tell me how to do my work. I know how to do my work.
yeah, I don't recall any of the DAs that came commenting on your case at all or your work at all. It was more so trying to get a broad swath of the state, somewhere from.
But it would be like me telling you how to run a DA's office in a rural community. I don't know.
Well, the challenge for us, Madam DA, is we have to write laws that do give respect and deference to the reality that there are larger jurisdictions like yours, and there are smaller ones, and there are a lot of DAs around the state that have to follow the same
Well,
law.
that brings us to another law. When you all are trying to decide the salaries of district attorneys, you surely should not compare those that have my volume of work to those that have smaller jurisdictions of work. Now, I know it brings ire to some, that is the Democratic DAs that keep most of this state safe, but the reality is they run the largest jurisdictions. They happen to, in most cases, be minority, and they deserve to make more money.
Mr. Chairman, may I?
Testify.
Just advise, but
I agree.
since I was here when we did it.
She is on fire. She's using him. Not only did she kick his ass and show his racism and like embarrass him and call him incompetent and endorse his enemy, and then try to sell her fucking campaign finance. I'm sorry, her campaign. Her campaign manager company to him because he's like losing his race. And she's made fun of him a ton of times, and then she's also like really pointing out a difference that she doesn't know how small towns are.
Explain the difference.
Governor, I think we'll defer to you, not because you were a governor, but because you started your illustrious career in the Georgia State Senate.
Well, I started
So-
as an assistant DA.
Well, your first elected role was in this chamber.
When a grand jury, and there are lawyers everywhere that do not understand this. When a grand jury, you present a bill of indictment or a special presentment, you can do it either way, to a grand jury, then there has to be laid before the grand jury a specific bill of indictment alleging facts, circumstances, and the defendants. And you just can't use a regular grand jury to say, well, we need to investigate this. The law goes back to the common law. It has to be an indictment, perfect in form, laid before the grand jury, charging a specific person with a specific crime. So there is no way for a regular grand jury to investigate, unless they are given some civil investigation powers, for example, the jail, things like that. But in a criminal case, the case has to be made on that bill of indictment. So, in a investigative grand jury, and they're rarely used, but investigative grand jury says something went wrong here, and I don't know exactly who should be indicted, and I don't know exactly what they should be indicted for, but it deserves investigation. And where a grand jury may be drawn and is set in statute, an investigative grand jury requires the additional step, so that it won't be misused, that the additional step that, in fact, it must be approved by not only the district attorney, but the chief judge. Not that I'm trying to instruct you on the law, but
Remind me, Madam DA, how many times in your career as a DA of Fulton County have you employed a special purpose grand jury?
Once.
Okay. Chairman Calzert, who obviously I've said before can't be here today, he has contemplated this concept of a statewide grand jury. And one of the things that he and I talked about was just getting your thoughts on whether it's appropriate for the Fulton County DA and Fulton County grand jurors to have sole authority and responsibility essentially for prosecuting all state-level officials, simply because the capital is here in Atlanta, or what your thoughts might be on with that resting with the Attorney General and a local municipality. In this case, that would be, or a local jurisdiction, which would be your office.
And that's the real issue. And I know that it bothers you all that the district attorney in Fulton County is me, but I think you absolutely need, when laws are broken in someone's jurisdiction, they should have the ability to prosecute them. There is no need to do that in that way. And the reality is, I prosecute more cases than the Attorney General. We are equipped to do it. We are doing it. I think that what has happened is the complexion of the DAs have changed. And so now there's all this concern. Now we need a QAnon committee, the oversight committee y'all have come up with. Now we need a statewide grand jury, and we need to take rights away. No, it's just fine how it's always been.
I think what he's contemplating, at least as he kind of jotted some thoughts out to me, would be concurrent jurisdiction, where you would still have autonomy, but the Attorney General would also have the ability to prosecute cases. You would be opposed to.
They already have that ability.
Okay.
They have that ability. So then they have the ability.
That may be the distinction that he was getting to. I just want to get on the record because he couldn't be here today, and that is something that he asked about. We heard from.
I forgot about Starfield again.
And I'm just going to summarize this because I know we are getting short on time. I do want to talk about federal grants because it was discussed in this committee.
Did you hear me say I just passed another audit?
I did hear you say that, I believe. But asked and answered, I believe, as y'all would say. And I don't think you gave us this number, but what's a ballpark number of federal grants in an average year of what y'all receive? Is it hundreds of thousands? Is it a couple $1 million? Is it?
I don't know an exact answer. I can tell you we do excellent work with our grants, and because of the current administration, not just in my office, but all over the country, people are losing valuable grant money to do the work of the people, and that is going to require some work of the legislature because the state's going to have to kick in more. This year alone, I lost 14 employees as of September 30th because not as many grants are being given. Grant work that just does excellent things for community. And the grants, so that we're clear, they're actually not the Fulton County District Attorney's grants. They're not the Atlanta Judicial Circuit's grants. They are the grants of the county. So they are not my grants. So that's a misnomer, slang.
Of those 13, were they prosecutors or were they admin? What do they do?
A combination of everything. Some lawyers, some investigators, some staff.
Okay.
And those weren't all federal grants.
I want to move quickly through, and I don't want to belabor this, but there was a letter that I want to ask you about that came from Senator Grassley relative to grants, and then we heard testimony from someone who I believe used to work in your office, is no longer employed, named Amanda Timpson.
Yeah, all of her, about 5 of her cases have been dismissed now. So I think that you should know that on summary judgment because she gave this committee information that was incorrect and her cases have been dismissed. You're not soothsayers. You wouldn't know that as you went into the future, but facts were provided to you that were inaccurate, not true, and those cases were dismissed. And it's about 5 cases. Some dismissed by her counsel. One was just dismissed on summary judgment. I have not misused grants funds. You were given false information.
Let's
That's not the only witness that gave you false information, but that one certainly did.
Okay. And I'm going to kind of cross-reference a couple of things that was the testimony from Ms. Timpson. I also reference a couple of things in the letter. The letter specifically notes that your office received $500,000 in 2020 to open a youth empowerment and gang prevention center.
You know I wasn't the DA in 2020.
Correct. I'm just going to ask you if the money for the grant has been used for that purpose, to your knowledge.
I wasn't the DA in 2020. I can't speculate.
After receiving Mr. Grassley's letter, did you have the opportunity to look into the use of that $500,000?
I don't believe I did. I don't think I responded to Mr. Grassley.
Okay. The letter highlights a report that roughly $89,000 of those funds have been diverted to what is known as the Offender Alumni Association. Is that report accurate to your knowledge?
I don't have any knowledge, and I'm not going to speculate.
Okay. When Ms. Timpson was here, she previously testified that she discovered that the office was using these grants and expenses that were not eligible for the grant. Specifically, she mentioned swag, computers, and travel.
And didn't know what she was talking about, which is why our cases were dismissed.
So is it your testimony that the funds were not used for swag, travel, or computers?
Let me speak specifically to the one that I know about.
Okay.
I bought a computer for a grant employee. I did not use grant funds to buy it. I can, which I do with all my grants. It's never enough. So you always do things to support the people working on the grants. But what I can tell you is her cases were dismissed because they had no merit. One was just dismissed on summary judgment.
She testified that she had brought this to your attention in late 2021. Do you recall that conversation?
I do not recall it. What I recall is Ms. Timpson being a troubled employee that did not do well at the office, that I moved her. I remember she was one of those people I interviewed. I remember feeling terribly sorry for her because she's got a tragic story. So I was proud of that she had kind of lifted herself up by her bootstraps. But she ended up being an employee that was a holdover employee and not very good at her job. We tried and tried to work with her. Ultimately, she put some of my employees in fear, and she was let go. And that's what I recall.
And she was let go in January 2022.
I don't remember. I've had up to 400 employees before the ARPA money was employed. I literally have no idea. She obviously was not a lawyer or an investigator, and that is the tiers of my office, a lower level employee. I don't remember.
Okay. Going back to Grassley's letter,
I told you I didn't respond to Grassley's letter. I don't remember it. It doesn't stand out to me. It wasn't important to me.
I'll just highlight for you one thing he said, just allow you to clarify if it's accurate or not. He cites a report in the letter that says that in 2023, 98% of these federal grant funds were spent on travel and conferences.
I don't know if that's true or not. I doubt it's true. But if it was spent on travel and conferences, it would have been allowances of the grant. But that sounds inaccurate to me. But again, we're speculating.
Okay. Chairman Grassley asked you for a series of documents, and based on what you just said, I think I know the answer to this question, but I just want to clarify. He asked for a list of all federal grants received by the office since 2019, complete accounting of all expenditures of grant funds, reports relating to planned expenditures of those funds. Have you complied with Mr. Grassley's request?
I believe Mr. Grassley was ignored.
Okay. Would you be willing to provide those documents to this committee?
I think you've been provided documents. What did happen was I provided documents to Jim Jordan.
Do you know if federal grant uses and sources and details that was requested by Mr. Grassley would have been captured in what you provided to Mr. Jordan?
Have no idea. This is a large office. It's not a rural office. I have a grant team.
So if we request these documents, you'd be willing to provide them to the committee?
Whatever's been provided is what I was willing to provide.
Okay.
He doesn't ask questions, he makes statements.
But I think it is included because I went to Washington on it.
The ends of sentences, when they have an
Can you say that one more time?
interrogative,
I went to Washington.
it was just a question, right? Is, hey, are you doing that? And you raise upwards. He just goes, are you doing that? Are you doing this? And it's like he's like ordering. He's not
asked a
even
federal DOJ
asking
audit this
questions. Yeah.
The Fulton County Ethics Code was amended in April of '24 to clarify that it includes elected officials. Is that your understanding?
I have no idea what Fulton County did.
That wouldn't apply to her.
Yeah, I'm not a county elected official. I'm a state.
State elected.
Right.
Not a county.
Okay, so your position would be that the county ethics code, anti-nepotism code that they updated to include elected officials, when they expanded that scope, that would not include you. That would be
There's
your position.
county electeds and there's a state elected. I am a state elected.
Okay.
I represent the Atlanta Judicial Circuit.
Does PAC have any sort of model language around either internal ethics codes for your office to use or any sort of anti-nepotism
You have to ask PAC.
language? Are you aware of
I'm not.
anything that PAC has provided? Can you provide the committee with any sort of internal ethics guidelines that you have, as well as any sort of anti-nepotism policy that your office has in writing?
You know, have to subpoena them, we'll consider it and decide whether it's relevant to the inquiry or whether it's privileged or whether you've already received it.
Okay. Does an internal ethics policy exist in writing?
You know, you mentioned companies, and you know, it's interesting because I also saw where you posted where it's always Fulton County. But the truth is, you have a company that you've listed on your disclosures for finances, and that company stole millions of dollars from Fulton. If you want to look at ethics, you might want to look at that.
Does your office have any sort
The
of
company's name is
internal
Teletrax, in case
ethics?
anyone thinks I'm making this up. And people died
don't.
because that company did not provide the services that they purported to provide.
Does your office have an internal ethics policy that's in writing?
Not that I can recall.
Okay. I want to lastly just ask a couple of questions about the Open Records Act.
Let me tell you something. I have a 92% conviction rate and a 92% clearance rate with open records from January of 24 till November 30th of 2025. I've gotten over 1,600 open records requests. This ain't a rural town.
Say that number again. I'm sorry.
Over 1,600. And we have cleared 92%. Now, it should be noted that in 24, people were abusing the open records thing. Ms. Merchant, as you mentioned, over 30 requests for open records. Lots of people were abusing it. And it troubles me that in 25, I have to now start charging people for open records because I realize people will abuse it. But 92% of the open records requested, we have cleared.
Can you define cleared? What do you mean when you say cleared?
They've asked for documents and we've given them to them.
Okay. And you mentioned you're now having to charge an hourly rate. There were no hourly rates.
Not from January 1st of 2021. That was a novel idea a young, naive, new district attorney did. I thought that I could provide documents, or I wanted to have transparency. I wanted to be able to communicate with the public, and I wanted indigent people as well as rich people to be able, if they had something, to give it to them. What I didn't know is that there were a lot of evil people that would abuse that to make up lies.
Can you clarify for me? You said you started charging just earlier this year?
January of 2025.
Okay.
But I don't take in those funds. I had Ms. Whitmore do that.
Prior to your getting sworn in, did your office charge for open records requests?
I believe the prior DA did charge for open records, but you know, when you become the new DA, you have new ideas.
She's more qualified than anybody else in the room, so she can just rattle off insults and she can like sell her friends, and it's not a trial, it's like an inquest, but she can steer the inquest because she's got more power than the entire room combined, except for that guy who's an ex-governor, but he has no power other than what he advises people to do. He is an attorney, and he is a strong, powerful man, but he's not like her power. He's not like in the frock. He's not working for the government right now, I don't think. And so she has like the most power in the room. Like all the people combined, she's got more power in the room. In the room, and it's amazing to see somebody completely exercise their freedom of speech based off how much more power that they have. UC bounty reduced to 150. She has so much power, she can freely speak her fucking mind in a congressional inquest. Or I think it's a state inquest or something, but yeah. It's like a state inquest, and she can just completely, like, ream their assholes about everything that they fucking do because she is a respectful civil servant. And I see some power in that. I am inspired by it. I don't think I could ever be a politician. I just have too many demons in my closet. Methamphetamine use, heroin use, drug dealer, etc. People are okay with recovery stories, especially if you stay clean for like 15 years. But it's also really late to start something like that. I don't know. But it might be fun to go past the bar and maybe try to be a judge, spend like 30 years trying to be a judge, because it's like I've been in the ghetto. There's no trick that could be pulled on me. You know, I know all their little scams and all their stupid ass gang shit and all the tricks they pull and all the stuff they do, and like, yeah, I think a judge would be really good. It's not that I want to prosecute people or like be a judge or something. It's that, now I can get. I guess I'll just get used to like cycling to 7 so I can like leave it and go do something else. And then I could use that. I don't know what I think I would use it to build power, and as a judge, I would try to build a lobby to protect gamers. In the background, I would just keep being a game streamer. I don't see how being a game streamer affects being a judge. You know, being a judge, I would have to do it a lot less, but or I don't know. Judge is really high. Usually, you have to be a district attorney first, but it'd be fun to be on the prosecuting side. Try to fix the system, you know. Yeah, so I did the wheel, but I came here to gamble. Or wait, yeah, I should do some 3-card. Or I don't know. Let's do the inside track. I seem to make the most money there. I'm up, but not by much. Like, I'm down kind of, or yeah, I'm like a little down because I've been buying chips with my, or I don't know, I'm up actually. I'm 2.400. Alright. You know, I think I want to turn down the sound. The sound in here is so loud you can't hear the court case. Yeah, I mean, I don't need this game's sound right now. I'm not actually playing it, really. I'm just gambling, so I'm going to turn it off, honestly.
Is one of my new ideas was I wanted to offer this level of transparency to my constituents. It was abused by people all over the country.
You referenced certain individuals abusing the process.
Absolutely.
When you said 30, just to take the example of Ms. Merchant, just since she has moved before the committee, you said she filed 30 open records requests? In what
More
period?
than 30. It was 30 it was a little bit in excess of 30. Yes, I did say that.
Over what period of time?
I don't remember. I don't
Generally
remember.
speaking, in kind of the scope of the
I don't remember, so
case
I'm not
of
going to
your
speculate.
Okay. What, in your opinion, what should...
She also came in here and testified that I diverted money from my homicide backlog. I cleared my homicide backlog, all of it. Didn't divert any money. People came in here and lied to you. You should be upset about that.
As you think through the law, the open records law currently is unlimited, right? Somebody can...
I think if you want a new open records law, you should make the legislature have to answer open records.
Oh, it's a soda machine.
That would be my
Cool.
recommendation for a new law.
I would vote for that as well, but let me just get your, I just want to get your opinion on the scope and how you would limit that, how you would determine abuse versus non-abuse.
How I would limit open records? Is that what you're asking me?
Yeah, if you were to take an extreme case, right, if you say 30, I think...
I don't think that district attorneys should actually be subject to the open records, but if they are subject to the open records, obviously attorney work product should not be
I have a lot
subject
more
to
stuff.
it.
Wow.
Only cases that are, you know, completely closed, and I mean
It's a
closed
NASA
past the
poster. Cool.
habeas, you should have to give.
Help me understand why you don't think you should be subject to open records. I would agree with you that the General Assembly should be.
Judges are not subject to open records.
Do you think they should be?
Did I think judges should be subject to it? Not their work product, because judges also have work product. But I think they should be akin to DAs.
And do you think that DAs should be akin to the legislature, or you think that the legislature should be akin to a county commissioner?
I don't know that I understand your question, but I think that you should be subject to open records. I think that you're making laws that are supposed to be in the benefit of the community, as opposed to this day where we're wasting a lot of time, where me and my staff could be keeping the community safe, but I'm here to do this song and dance with you. The reality is I brought forth an indictment because people came in my county, they committed a crime, and they got charged. They didn't get charged because of their race. They didn't get charged because of their political party. They got charged because they came in my community and and committed a crime, and 2 grand juries passed forth an indictment. And this is what you should know. I don't care how many times they threaten me. I don't care that they've threatened my
Hells
family.
yeah.
Actually, just yesterday, I went home, and the Department of Justice sent me a letter about another person that they are prosecuting, and that I can come in January because this person swatted my home as well as the home of other public officials. This has to stop. What you all need to do is to pass laws to allow people to do their jobs,
I can relate.
to do them safely. What happened to Marjorie Taylor Greene is horrible. That she had to quit her job because they were bomb threats to her house and threatening her children, but she didn't care when it was me. She didn't care when my children were threatened. She didn't care that I haven't had the ability to live in my house, but I'm a better human being than that. I don't want any of your lives threatened. I may not care for you personally. I may not believe in your politics. I may think that today is nothing but more than evil and you trying to get yourself elected. All of that being said, I don't think anyone should threaten you and your family. And I think if you're here to protect, you ought to establish laws that if someone uses hate speech and that creates an environment where people like myself are threatened doing their job, we ought to do something about it in Georgia.
Just a couple of quick questions on the open records law and your thoughts on it. And it doesn't, and I think it is a challenge to get to this concept of what is abuse and what is not abuse. As it relates to Ms. Merchant, though, the court seemed to indicate that she was...
The court indicated that a CFO would not be in the weeds, as I was not. And we gave Ms. Merchant many, many documents, and she abused it. So if you look at what they said, the court said that the CFO, which is what I am of the district attorney's office, I wouldn't be involved in the weeds. What I know is that when you have 1,600 people requesting, we do the very best we can. What's a shame is because we had people abusive, I now have 3 attorneys working on open records, 2 master level people and an employees. None of those people are doing the work that I care about. What I care about is getting gangsters off my street. What I care about is getting people that sexually assault children. I don't hang out with human traffickers or the victims. I care about representing people that are trafficked. Like, we've got problems here in Georgia. They're real problems. This is a major metropolitan city, and I'm standing on the line here trying to keep people safe, and y'all have me in here with this foolishness. I indicted them, I'm indicting them again. If they committed a crime in my jurisdiction, I don't care if you like it.
Goddamn right.
No, let me get to this. Not 1948. I know that you're offended that
I didn't. So here's the question.
Audacity to indict rich white men, but I would do it again.
I can't believe they turned the microphone off. White people have pushed it too far. They're playing these crazy executive fucking games where they full-blown try to take your voice away with their piece of shit fascism. Fucking piece of shit goddamn Republican losers. I want them to take their bullshit to their own country, basically. Give them the East Coast, give them Maine, and, you know, give them the East Coast and, like... and let them fuck up their own country. They're fucking so bad at this. They muted her fucking microphone. That's not a fucking fair... like, that's not a fair inquest or whatever. She listened to every word you said, every question. She didn't shut off your microphone or tell you to shut up. So you just hit a button and you mute her? Why? Because you don't like that she's telling the truth and reaming your fucking asshole? You're a pussy. Fucking, this is America. It's a town hall. She as a hardworking civil servant can fucking speak her mind if she wants to. She's done nothing wrong. She's broke no laws.
Breath to see that they were protected.
What I was asking was, and I didn't get there. The court essentially found that Ms. Merchant was treated differently than other people making open records requests. You're correct. It did find that you were not in the weeds on dealing with that. What I'm curious about in response to the court case, have there been any internal changes with how you handle...
I now have 3 lawyers on open records, 2 master level people, and an assistant. That was the change.
Okay, so
I had to waste more resources to not do the main thing. So you want something else? Give the district attorney in Fulton County more lawyers so that she can do our job, because what happens in Fulton is going to impact the entire community. Gangbangers don't stay just in Fulton. They go to DeKalb, they go to Coweta, they go to Douglas. And I'm here on the front line keeping people safe. And you talk about critical mention, it wasn't just about this case. I prosecute a lot of high-profile cases.
Walk me through the change real quick. What did you have before in terms of staff, and what do you have today?
when I started, I had one.
When I say before, let me say, let's call it 2024 versus 2025.
I've increased staff. I now have 2 special assistant attorney generals that work on it. I have two special assistant prosecutors that work part-time on it. I have right now 2 lawyers that work on it full-time. I'm bringing a 3rd one in. I have 2 master level people that work on it. When I first got there was one lady with a master's degree. We've had to expand and expand and expand for this foolishness. And what I'm supposed to be doing, and my main emphasis, what I focus my day-to-day on, is making sure I lock up murderers, making sure I lock up sexual offenders, making sure I lock folks up that are dangerous. And I also spend my time on making sure we have programs for people so we can turn their lives around. Which is why I got a 92% conviction rate. I must be doing something right.
Leader Jones, I've asked a couple of questions since you've had the opportunity to ask. I want to defer to see if you have any questions you'd like to ask before we wrap up here. Let me turn your mic on.
One final one, you kind of touched on it.
Let me turn your mic on, fucking shithead.
This case here, this
white
conspiracy
people
case that took place.
Totally
Why did you
disrespectful
bring this
now.
Because folks came in my
Entirely
jurisdiction and broke the law.
fascist.
And as elected officials, there are things that are precious and that are our responsibility. One, in a free society, is keeping people safe, right? And I stand on the line keeping people safe every single day. I have dedicated my entire career to making sure that people are safe and that they feel valued. Children feel valued, no matter who you are. See, I'm not like these people. I believe in diversity. I've sat on my floor and cried with little white children, black children, Spanish children, and I fight with my last breath to keep those people safe.
God damn right.
Prosecuted black people, white people, Asian people. It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
To me. It seems to
Nope.
matter to some.
To you. Yep.
So I brought this
I don't
case
give a
because
fuck
they came
about
in this
that.
jurisdiction and broke the law, and they didn't only break the law here, they broke it other places, because the other thing that we have to do as a free society is we have to protect elections. It is important. If the people of this jurisdiction, the 19th, voted Senator Blake Tillery to be that senator, then I have to work to make sure that he is instilled into office. If someone does something, goes into a voting booth like they did in Coffee County, they do that. If they threaten workers, these little old people that work the polls, how dare somebody threaten them? And how dare you all not take that to be important? Is it not important because it was an older black female? It ought to be important to everybody. That's who you all are here to protect, those that cannot protect themselves. And I'm willing to stand on the line so y'all can keep threatening me, keep bringing me to these committees, keep auditing me, and I'm going to keep doing my job with excellence.
God damn right. And I'm an endless fan. I'm always going to be there. I'm going to support you. These pieces of shit have destroyed the American reputation.
No other questions.
Even in their own
Madam
country.
DA, I would like to thank you for appearing today before the committee. Governor Barnes would like to do the same.
Good luck and God bless you all.
This meeting
Happy holidays.
Did we get to the end? We did. Yes. I can't believe we did all 4 hours. It was good. It was good. It was really good. I loved listening to it. Okay, so.
Let me tell you which one you lied in. Right here. I think you lied right here. No. This is the truth. Judge, and it is a lie. It is a lie.
Willis's testimony also gave us some truly iconic one-liners, including,
"The man is not a plan. The only man who's ever foot my bills completely is my daddy. You're confused. You think I'm on trial. These people are on trial."
liners, including,
"The man is not a plan. The only man who's ever foot my bills completely is my daddy. You're confused. You think I'm on trial. These people are on trial for trying to steal an election in 2020. I'm not on trial, no matter how hard you try to put me on trial."
in the end, the defense hadn't really shown an actual conflict of interest. But the timeline evidence was murky enough that it raised real questions about whether Willis and Wade had been fully truthful with the
Trippy.
court.
This game's
None of
so
it looked
good. People do
Judge
not know.
McAfee's ruling in
See how
March
it's
of
good?
2024
It is so
basically
good.
said just that. He refused to disqualify Willis, saying the defense failed to show that she had a
One of the things that idiot-ass people who have no fucking patience and don't know a good game if it bit them in the fucking ass who ragged on Starfield, right? One of the things that, that they forget, and they should know because they've been playing since Morrowind, Oblivion, you know, their precious Skyrim, and their, you know, and Oblivion Remastered even, and all of them are moddable, and they forget that the modders just churn out endless content and cool stuff, and they fix all the problems, and they graphically really have a better sense than the artists that Bethesda's using, because those guys are lazy and they're just meant to do a job. These artists, as you can see, the modder artist really has something to say about graphics. And, you know, and it's weird. So to say that Starfield's bad or that it's not like a 9 is fucking crazy to me when you think about the modding scene and what they've done for this. Like, I mean, and like, yeah, like that one watchtower that gives you like 10 extra ships to follow you around, like X4, and like an ion cannon that you can shoot from space, and like all this shit, and then like all these cool dogfight battles with massive ship battles, like, you know, 40, 50 ships that pop in and jump you and shit, and then you have your 10 ships are like better than theirs and shit. It's so cool. Like, this game is so like, and that's what I said when I played the game. I was like, in its launch state, it's basically unplayable. I don't have any inventory space. Like, the load screens are shit. I had a problem with the ship technician, and I lost a 60-hour run, and I was just angry with them. But now, and this is what I said to Begon when he asked my opinion about Starfield. I was like, I chose my words, and I thought about it, and I was like, I think it's a 7.4 right now, and I think it's a 9.4 after the goddamn modders get done with it, because I've seen that revolution before with well, not with Morrowind, but I saw it with Oblivion, I saw it with Skyrim, I saw it with Fallout New Vegas, I saw it with Fallout 3, I saw that the modding scene would like pretty much save the game, and I was like, why would this process be any different? Because this game is a lot better to mod, honestly, I think, than all the other ones, because it's more modern. It has better frame rate, and you know, and it's easier if you want to soar through a level to place a wall. This is the client to do it on. All the other clients sucked and were terrible to mod. It had terrible locked frame rates and problems, and the clients crash all the time, lock you out of your work, or fuck up and get all buggy and shit. This client's not all fucked up and buggy and stuff. So like, and I knew, I was like, it will be a really genuinely fucking good game. Like, look, I don't have to do shit. I can just watch my cronies fight this thing. And it is, like, entertaining, like, as a sandbox. I'm, like, watching them fight. Oh, shit. Get out of my way. You're so stupid. You blocked me more than you helped me. The modder made it so I don't have to walk to any corpse, which Bethesda should have done so long ago. Like Morrowind, they should have known to do that. They're looting in these games and some of these MMOs and shit is so dumb fucking bad. They finally did fix 76 like that too, where I don't have to run around to 50 fucking corpses that I can't even see. Alright, bitch. This one's good. You can tell, like, you can tell the dungeons that the modders make, because they're superior, like, genuinely superior to what Bethesda does. Almost always. Because they're not afraid to experiment. See it? Like, that's way funnier than anything in Fallout 4. You know, fuck Fallout 4 compared to this game. And like, I like coming back to this game. Every time I do, I'm happy to play it. Every time I come back, I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot how good this is. You know, it is good. It is entertaining. The music's exquisite. You know, everything about this game is good. It's not like, it is old Bethesda, so that it is like stuck in its rut. But as Bethesda games go, I'm not going back to any other Bethesda game after this except for 76, because this is 76. This is 76 single player. It's exact same principle. Like 76 was as massive as Todd Howard lied about at the start. Like technically, because it is miles and miles and miles, and it does take hours and hours to cross if you do it by foot. And that's smaller than Starfield if you run around planets on Starfield, but it's not if you just go to monuments. It's about the same. It's about the same, really. The game's not that big. Like, there's 1,200 planets, so you could call that 1,200 monuments, and with subsets of monuments inside. That's okay. It's bigger than 76, but it's still a single-player 76. I love 76. I think it's like the best MMO right now. It's the only one that can keep my attention for whatever reason. I'm not really sure why. This dungeon is dope. It's like actually so dope. Look at the RP of this. It's so cool. Like the sun's coming through. Like the sandbox feel is strong. I feel like I'm a fucking Hoth. And there's like a metal bridge to like a Dark Souls dungeon, basically. I'm like looking through the window, and if Bethesda had their fucking way, I paid $1 for this, but if Bethesda had their fucking way, you wouldn't be able to do this. Oops, sorry, forgot to reload. Excuse me, just a second. Make sure, because I'm climbing, yeah. So if Bethesda had their way, I wouldn't be able to do this. See it? Oh, I guess, yep, see it. See, Bethesda does have their way, see it? For some reason, the modder couldn't fix this. The modder couldn't get through this glass because whoever made this dungeon didn't work with the guy who made the glass breakable, but the glass is breakable almost everywhere I've been. This is the first window I think I've hit that I haven't been able to break. But that's because I think it's a bigger window, and I don't think the mod supports that. Yeah, it is. It's like a bigger window than I normally... Oh, look, this was so worth doing. There's like grenades and shit, and I'm looking for a magazine. I thought I saw a magazine. Didn't I see a magazine on where I was? I don't know. Ooh, a digiframe. Ah, get out of my way. Out of my way. Please stop doing that. Make it so I have to hold E on the guide to talk to him for like a second. And then I don't fucking accidentally click companions all the time, piece of shit software developer. I'm better as a gamer in making your game than you are sometimes. It's fucking stupid. Like, make it so you have to hold down for just a second to talk to them. And then you don't accidentally fucking trigger couches and fucking... companions all the time, and you're always like exiting companion talk and exiting chairs and shit. Just make it so you have to hold down on the chairs, and that's what you should have done since Oblivion. But you are incompetent, and the modders can't even fix that because you design incompetent. It's so annoying. See it? Why? Fucking why? Why? Fucking dumb. Yeah, it's cool that you can RP sit down on the chair in this single-player game to brag to your no friends that can see the single-player game except for whoever's in your living room or whatever. And like, and it's just weird. That RP is cool, but it's unnecessary because it's a single-player game. So it's cool, and the animation just pisses me off. This should be optional. Like, make sitting up and sitting down animations fucking optional because they're fucking terrible. Wait, there's a door? What door? Oh, that door? Okay. Look how cool this is. See, now this glass breaks. No, it doesn't. Yeah, so this modder will not work with the guy who broke all the windows and everything. But, like, you know, or it doesn't work with, but, like, yeah. But, like, if I wasn't in a modder dungeon, modder dungeons are cool. Modder dungeons are better. But yeah, if I wasn't in a modder dungeon, I would be able to break the glass, and that's so cool because you can just skip the entire dungeon it goes straight to the boss, which in a good sandbox you would be able to do. Hey, maybe you just happen to crack. I have done. I've like cracked through a window and there's the boss. So I was just like, oh, cool. I don't have to do 25 minutes or whatever. In the sandbox that's got 10 billion dungeons to run. I really don't care if I accidentally kill the boss in 5 seconds and leave in dungeon number, 970. I don't care about that. I think random is good. We used to not really like random number generation when I was a kid because it didn't really feel like it was conductive to a fast experience, Like you would end up slogging trying to get loot and stuff that had bad RNG, like drop rates and stuff. But now I'm sort of like, I do like the random nature of it though. I do really like. Ooh, that helmet was cool. I was hoping it would be a magazine. I'm just looking around for a magazine. This place was so cool. There should be a magazine right here. This was the hardest place to reach. There's a computer here and I'm sitting on it. Stand up. Your piece of shit sit down animation. Get rid of it, Bethesda. I like their computer designs. They're actually really beautiful for an asset. They really do look really super detailed. Fuel heater A and fuel heater B and stuff. This was an outdoor dungeon, but it doesn't seem like it. Did I miss something? I probably missed something, but I have no idea what it is. And I don't care. And I don't have to care because there's 20 billion dungeons forever. So I don't care about dungeon 970. I can just leave. Who cares? I just wander this direction. There's another dungeon, maybe I will actually take the Jeep. Annoying. That lady inspired me. She was so awesome.
Conflict of interest. But he
I like this lady too.
also said that the record created what he called an
I
appearance.
don't know her name. There's a guide to law school. A 1L. So that's cool. Yeah. I like legal eel.
Appearance of impropriety, and that he had reasonable questions about whether Willis and Wade were truthful about the timing of the relationship. Now, normally, appearance of impropriety isn't enough to disqualify a prosecutor in Georgia. But McAfee felt that he had to do something about all this. So, he gave Willis a choice. Remove Wade from the case, or the entire DA's office is out. Wade stepped down immediately. Then, the defense appealed, asking the Georgia Court of Appeals to reverse McAfee and remove Willis anyway. While that appeal was pending, you'd expect Willis and Wade to stay low profile, right? Nope. Wade went on a bizarre media tour, giving awkward interviews, including this particularly painful exchange about the timeline of the relationship.
Just to clarify, when did the romantic relationship between the two of you start?
Yeah, so, you know, we get into, there's been this effort to say that, okay, these exact dates are at issue, and these exact dates are, I'm getting signaled here. Yeah.
Meanwhile, Willis and Wade were spotted together in public, which raised fresh questions about whether the relationship had actually ended when they said it did. And look, to be clear, these people are adults. They can date whoever they want.
They can date what they
But in
want.
high-stakes
Yeah, that's not a
litigation,
law.
especially a prosecution of a
Maybe a
former
conflict of
president,
interest,
optics do matter. And these optics were not great. It kind of felt like Wade and Willis were snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. Then two things happened. Trump was reelected as president, and the Georgia Court of Appeals issued its decision. They reversed Judge McAfee and disqualified both Willis and her entire office. Trump was reelected as president, and the Georgia Court of Appeals disqualified both Willis and her entire office. The court acknowledged that an appearance of impropriety alone normally isn't enough to justify disqualification.
Cool.
But then it said that this is one of the, quote, rare cases where disqualification is required and that no other remedy will suffice. So why did the appeals court think that the Trump case justifies an exception? The Georgia Court of Appeals didn't really say. They kind of just carved out an exception for the Trump case based on vibes. And this kind of vibes-based exception wasn't unique to Georgia. It also happened in New York when Judge Juan Merchan declined to sentence Trump before the election because Trump said it would have interfered with his ability to get reelected. Now, Willis tried to appeal that ruling up to the Georgia Supreme Court, but the High Court refused to hear the case. In a 4-3 ruling issued on September 16, 2025, the court said that the appeal presented a narrow, case-specific dispute that did not warrant intervention. More vibes. By refusing to take up the case, the Georgia Supreme Court left Willis's disqualification in place. And just like that, Willis was off the case. When the case was ultimately dropped, over 400 sources reported on it, but depending on the sources you follow, it's hard to tell if they were even talking about the same event. And herein lies the danger. It's not just facts that shape public opinion, it's how those facts are framed. When you scroll down to see how this story is being covered by every outlet, the frames can have subtle differences that make a huge impact. Like this headline from the right that frames the story as Fani Willis's case against Trump, suggesting her personal motivations were a driving factor. In contrast, headlines from the left typically center on Trump getting away with attempting to overturn the 2020 election. And then from the center, headlines were most likely to center on the actions of the judge in dismissing the case. This type of analysis is why Ground News is my favorite way to stay caught up with the news. So I want to thank them for sponsoring this video. They've been a longtime supporter of this channel and independent news media at large. Ground News is an app and a website that helps me see the full picture by pulling in news from thousands of sources worldwide. I can compare coverage, uncover the political biases, check source reliability, and most importantly, see who owns the sources reporting the news I'm reading. And it's not just me. Ground News has even been recognized by the Nobel Peace Center for its impact on media literacy. And one feature that's always particularly helpful in liberating readers from algorithmic echo chambers is the blind spot feed, which shows you stories that are underreported by either side of the political spectrum. So if you're only getting your news from one or two places, you might miss important stories like this one on the unsettling rise and efficacy of police drones. No outlets on the right reported on this. Or there's this story about the GOP chairman threatening to hold the Clintons in contempt of Congress for not showing up to testify in a congressional Epstein inquiry. that was mostly ignored by the left. Now, as a legal eaglet, you can get 40% off the Unlimited Access Vantage plan, the same one I use, by scanning the QR code or clicking the link below. By subscribing, you're also supporting an independent news platform that's working to make the media landscape more transparent and more balanced. So sign up for Ground News today, and I'll see you in court. But let's get back to the story, because it doesn't end with Fani Willis's dismissal. That's because the underlying charges against Trump and his co-defendants weren't affected by Fani Willis's disqualification. Under Georgia state law, if a prosecutor is disqualified, a substitute prosecutor can be appointed to take over the case. So in theory, the case wasn't dead, but it definitely was on life support. And this is where a guy named Pete enters the picture. That's Pete Skandalakis. Yes, that's his real name. He's the executive director of a state agency called the Prosecuting Attorneys Council of Georgia, or PAC for short. When a DA's office is disqualified in Georgia, Skandalakis is the guy who decides whether another prosecutor will step in.
There's another modern
The
dungeon.
statute provides that he can assign the case to another DA's office, or he can appoint an independent special prosecutor to take it on. With the Trump case, Pete was racing the clock to find a replacement for Fani Willis. Why? Because after the Georgia Supreme Court's ruling, Judge Scott McAfee ordered PAC to assign a substitute prosecutor by November 14th, 2025. Or else, McAfee would dismiss the entire indictment for want of prosecution. But Pete had a problem. At least, he said he did. In a statement issued by PAC, Skandalakis said he contacted several prosecutors about taking the case, and each one declined. So what did Pete do next? He appointed himself. Skandalakis named himself District Attorney pro tempore, but instead of prosecuting the case, he killed it. Just over 10 days after taking control, Skandalakis filed a motion asking Judge McAfee to dismiss the entire indictment. And in an attached memorandum, he laid out exactly why he believed the most significant criminal case in Georgia history should simply go away. His strongest argument was resources. According to Skandalakis, PAC does not have the institutional capacity or resources to try a case of this magnitude and complexity. He emphasized the sprawling nature of the indictment, the volume of evidence, and the time commitment required for a multi-defendant RICO trial.
He died like a second later
He also
because he
pointed
bled.
out that any prosecution of Trump himself,
Russ.
the alleged leader of the conspiracy, could not realistically proceed until Trump's current presidential term ends on January 21st, 2029. And even then, Skandalakis argued that the case would almost certainly be delayed by further years of litigation over presidential immunity. As he put it, quote, "The citizens of Georgia are not served by pursuing this case in full for another 5 to 10 years. And Skandalakis could have just left it at that. But he didn't. Instead, he turned his memo into a kind of revisionist history of the 2020 election in Georgia. He went through key episodes and charges in the indictment, recasting them as legally or factually ambiguous instead of, a coordinated effort to overturn a Democratic presidential election. Take the infamous Raffensperger phone call, the one in which Trump then made this ask.
I think you're going to find that they are shredding ballots because they have to get rid of the ballots because the ballots are unsigned.
And then Trump made this ask, find me the votes.
So, look, all I want to do is this. I just want to find 11,780 votes, which is one more than we have, because we won the state. So what are we going to do here, folks? I only need 11,000 votes. Fellas, I need 11,000 votes. Give me a break.
The Skandalakis memo
What?
claims the call as being one that's open to
You're breaking my balls
interpretation.
here.
He suggests
literally
that
like
Trump could have
Cartman.
been
It's so
acting
bad.
in good faith to encourage an
Like the used car
investigation of voter
salesman.
fraud, rather than attempting to pressure the Secretary of State to alter election results. And when multiple interpretations are, quote, equally plausible, Skandalakis says the accused should be given the benefit of the doubt. But Skandalakis omits the context of the call. The call happened just 4 days before January 6th, after Governor Kemp had already certified the election in Georgia and after multiple recounts confirmed Joe Biden's win. Raffensperger himself has publicly described the call as a threat. In his 2021 book, Integrity Counts, he wrote, quote, President Trump is using what he believes as the power of his position to threaten Ryan and me with prosecution if we don't do what he tells us to do. It was nothing but an attempt at manipulation. There's also overwhelming public evidence that Trump knew his fantastical claims about election fraud were totally baseless. The people and groups who told him his claims of election fraud had no basis in fact included Vice President Mike Pence, who investigated the fraud allegations at Trump's direction. Trump appointed senior Justice Department officials who found no evidence of election crimes, the Director of National Intelligence, the Director of the Department of Homeland Security's Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, who publicly stated that the fraud claims were unsubstantiated, senior White House attorneys, senior staffers on Trump's re-election campaigns, state legislators and officials, many of them Trump allies, and the state and federal courts, which rejected every post-election challenge filed by Trump and his co-conspirators. Despite all of this, Skandalakis presents the call and Trump's knowledge and intent as ambiguous, downplaying the overwhelming evidence showing that Trump knew his allegations were false and that he was attempting to pressure a public official to alter election results. The same revisionist approach shows up in Skandalakis' treatment of the Coffee County voting system breach. In declining to pursue further charges, he notes that Sidney Powell and Scott Hall pleaded guilty to reduced counts, but others, such as Misty Hampton and Kathy Latham, still face criminal charges. But continuing the prosecution, says Skandalakis, would be inefficient. Why? First, he claims that Powell and Hall would have credibility problems if they testified at trial as witnesses. But that reasoning is honestly nonsense. I've reported on the Coffee County breach in excruciating detail. I've quite literally spent hundreds of hours digging into this story. So take it from me when I say this. The evidence does not depend on Powell or Hall's testimony at all. There's video of the breach, text messages, emails, invoices, letters, audio recordings, sworn depositions, and repeated statements from state and local officials confirming that the access was not authorized. All of it corroborates the indictment's core allegation that a group of Trump allies conspire to unlawfully access, copy, and steal Georgia's most sensitive voting data. Skandalakis also suggests that Powell may have told others that accessing voting machines was legal because it was done to gather evidence for litigation, implying that defendants like Hampton and Latham may not have known any better. But who would seriously believe that it's legal to let outside operatives rummage through a state's election equipment just because a lawyer says it's for evidence? That's not how litigation works, or how criminal law works, or how anything works. And the people involved had every reason to know this, whether or not they were lawyers. For example, Kathy Latham had previously served as a plaintiff in litigation that sought a court order to do the very thing that she later coordinated to do without one. And if she thought the Coffee County operation was perfectly legal, why did she and others involved in the breach repeatedly misrepresent their involvement? In a sworn deposition, for example, Latham claimed that she was only at the elections building on the day of the breach for a few minutes and that she never entered the office. But those claims are flatly contradicted by video showing her there in the office for several hours. Misty Hampton, meanwhile, was the election supervisor, the person directly responsible for the physical security of sensitive election materials in Coffee County. Just 2 months before the breach, the Secretary of State's office had explicitly warned counties not to release the type of data that Hampton later facilitated access to in Coffee County. The idea that she thought a group of outside operatives had lawful authorization without a court order, approval from the board, or the Secretary of State simply defies reality. Yet Skandalakis waves all of this away, and he does it again and again throughout the memo, stripping away context and evidence until nothing in the indictment seems like it's that big of a deal, actually. Threats become misunderstandings. Knowingly false statements become mere disagreements about fact. Efforts by lawyers to overturn an election are construed as, quote, flawed legal advice. And to be fair, Skandalakis isn't wrong about everything in this memo. His critique of the indictment's size and complexity does have some merit. A narrower case focused squarely on Trump might have reached trial years earlier, before re-election and immunity questions intervened. By charging a sprawling RICO conspiracy instead, Willis made the case slower, more fragile, and far more vulnerable to disruption. And in the end, the case lived or died with her and her alone. But none of that required sanitizing the facts and gutting the case entirely. The Georgia indictment alleged serious crimes, supported by extensive evidence, involving an effort to subvert a democratic election. And nothing Skandalakis says changes that. Nonetheless, on November 26, 2025, Judge Scott McAfee granted Skandalakis' motion to dismiss. So here lies the Trump Georgia case, 2023 to 2025. We hardly knew her, but may she rest in peace. The criminal case is fresh in the grave. Yet even in its death, the fallout is far from over. Trump and his former co-defendants aren't just walking away scot-free, they could be walking away with money in their pockets. Millions, even. And here's why. Earlier this year, in response to the Fani Willis disqualification fiasco, Georgia passed a new law allowing a defendant to seek compensation if their case is dismissed due to a prosecutor's misconduct. The law specifically states that such defendants may be reimbursed for all reasonable attorney's fees and costs incurred by the defendant in defending the case. Under this statute, each defendant has 45 days after dismissal to file motions detailing what they consider reasonable fees and costs. The payouts would come from the office of Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis, the very office that originally charged them. How much could that actually be? Potentially a lot. Trump's Political Action Committee, Save America, has already reported paying over $1.5 million to Steve Sadow, Trump's lead defense attorney in the Georgia case. And that's just for one lawyer representing one defendant. With multiple defendants likely to seek compensation as well, the total bill could run into the millions. But the consequences don't stop at money. Trump and his allies have long called for Fani Willis to be jailed over her prosecution of Trump, and a plan for retribution may already be in the works. According to the New York Times, federal investigators are scrutinizing a trip Willis took to the Bahamas last November, shortly after she was reelected to a second term as district attorney. The purpose of the trip, according to her office, was a leadership training session organized by Vera Causa Group, a company that provides professional training for prosecutors. Campaign funds, not taxpayer dollars, covered the expenses. It remains unclear why federal investigators are focused on this trip or whether Willis herself is actually a target, but the optics are unmistakable. In the wake of the Georgia case, Willis may be the next figure in Trump's expanding campaign for political retribution. So in the end, Trump and his allies may walk away from the Fulton County case unscathed, possibly enriched, and Fani Willis, once the bold prosecutor leading the charge, now faces scrutiny and possible retribution. Skandalakis also leaves out the fact that the January 2nd phone call wasn't even the first time Trump contacted a Republican state official while trying to overturn his loss. As noted in the indictment, Trump made a similar call nearly a month earlier, on December 7, 2020, to the late Georgia House Speaker David Ralston. A recording of that call, recently published by the New York Times, shows Trump using a similar playbook he would later use with Raffensperger. He made baseless claims of widespread voter fraud and then pressured Ralston to convene a special session of the Georgia legislature. The idea was that Georgia's Republican-controlled legislature could hear claims of fraud and then vote to recognize a slate of Trump electors instead of the Biden electors, effectively changing the state's electoral outcome. Trump even spelled out how he expected it to work. In the call, he told Ralston this: "If we had a special session, we will present and you will say, 'Here, it's been massive fraud. We're going to turn over the state.'" Of course, the state legislature had no lawful authority to turn over the state to Trump. The same day as the phone call to Ralston, Governor Brian Kemp released a statement explaining that convening a special session to select a different slate of electors is not an option that is allowed under state or federal law. And Kemp apparently told Trump that he couldn't do this. We know this because Trump complains about it during his call with Ralston. Trump used this same strategy to pressure state officials again and again. It's thoroughly documented in the Fulton County indictment, the January 6th committee report, and special counsel Jack Smith's final report. But you wouldn't know that from Skandalakis' memo, which treats everything like an isolated, one-off incident. It didn't have to end like this. State prosecutions matter because they're the one place presidential power can't really intrude. By walking away here, prosecutors denied the public the one thing the case was supposed to deliver: a chance to see the evidence and decide for themselves.
Now, all this highlights why it's so important to get a great lawyer when you're dealing with your own case. Now, after I started this channel, every week I'd get hundreds of comments and emails from viewers who are dealing with legal problems, and they'd ask, can you help me find a lawyer? How do I know if this attorney is any good? And there's a massive gap in our justice system. It's that people don't know how to find the right lawyer for their specific situation. They're scared, they're overwhelmed, and they end up doing nothing or hiring the first attorney who calls them back. And that really bothered me. So I started to wonder, what if there was a different way? What if we could build a law firm that actually lived up to the values that I talk about on this channel? Transparency, accessibility, and putting clients first instead of chasing billable hours. A firm where you don't need to pay anything up front, and your lawyers only get paid if you do, to maximize your opportunity for justice. So a few years ago, I decided to fix that problem. I decided to start my own personal injury law firm. And honestly, it wasn't an easy choice. But I realized I was in this unique position. I had this platform, this community, and the experience. Not to get rich, trust me, there are easier ways to make money than starting a law practice. But we did it because access to justice shouldn't be a luxury. Because finding the right legal representation shouldn't feel like playing Russian roulette with your future. And when you work with my firm, you're not just getting a lawyer. You're getting a team that understands that behind every case is a real person with real stakes. If we can't represent you, or you're in a state where we don't practice, we'll take the time to try to match you with an attorney in my personal network of lawyers. A national network of some of the best lawyers in the country who actually specialize in what you're going through, located right where you are, not just whoever happens to be available. So if you're dealing with a personal injury, a car crash, a data breach, sexual harassment, a social security or workers' comp issue, give us a call at the number on screen or click on the link below. Now, I can't represent everyone that watches this channel. I wish I could, but what I can do is make sure that when you need legal help, you have somewhere to turn to that you can trust. So whether it's me handling your case or the incredible attorneys we partnered with, you'll get the same principles of honesty and education that we bring to every video. And if you're dealing with a legal issue and you're not sure where to start, check out the link in the description. Let's have a conversation about how we can help you find not just a lawyer, but the right lawyer for your situation. Because at the end of the day, that's what this is all about, making sure that when life gets complicated, you don't have to face it alone. Which is why when you need a lawyer, you don't just need a legal team, you need the Eagle team.
I'm fully prepared with everything I need for the Jay-Z document. The moment he sent that legal letter, I knew I had to let the world see who he really is. He and Diddy are cut from the same cloth. He just hides his arrogance and control behind a cleaner image. Our feud has lasted 20 years, and I know better than anyone what he's done in the shadows. I even suspect that so-called funeral bouquet wasn't Diddy's idea at all, but Jay-Z acting on his behalf. Back when Nicki Minaj posted that video of him wearing a pink wig, all I did was repost it, and he got so nervous he had his lawyers threaten me. In 2015, Nicki worked her ass off helping him build his platform, and he allegedly pocketed her $7.9 million in royalties. And then there's his fingerprints all over key incidents through the years, whether it's the elevator footage or the guest list at Diddy's parties. He was involved, clearly, but somehow he always walks away untouched. That's what he's best at, pulling strings behind the scenes while pretending to be spotless in public. And now that a corner of the darkness has been ripped open, I'm not stopping. Everything my team and I are doing isn't about attacking anyone, it's about making sure the truth can't be buried by him ever again.
Go, Fitty!
Black billionaires lunch.
Black excellence, they're sitting there like, yeah. It's the billionaire brunch like this.
And we here together, and we're gonna keep staying together. We getting tighter.
I'm unaware of anything going on here. This is the one time I'm gonna be with you this year. Yo, I feel like I'm normal again. Get me out of here.
Jay-Z is facing mounting scrutiny as reports suggest that alleged private exchanges between him and Diddy have entered the public conversation, triggering widespread online reaction. The situation has thrust Jay-Z into an intense spotlight, reigniting long-standing speculation about his association with Diddy and past controversies that many believed were settled. As these claims circulate, familiar narratives are being revisited, public debate is accelerating, and pressure is building rapidly, forming a high-stakes moment that could test Jay-Z's reputation and influence like never before.
Sean Carter aided and abetted, or was directly involved.
I want to hear what he said again.
Prepared with everything I need for the Jay-Z documentary. The moment he sent that legal letter, I knew I had to let the world see who he really is. He and Diddy are cut from the same cloth. He just hides his arrogance and control behind a cleaner image. Our feud has lasted 20 years, and I know better than anyone what he's done in the shadows. I even suspect that so-called funeral bouquet wasn't Diddy's idea at all, but Jay-Z acting on his behalf. Back when Nicki Minaj posted that video of him wearing a pink wig, all I did was repost it, and he got so nervous he had his lawyers threaten me. In 2015, Nicki worked her ass off helping him build his platform, and he allegedly pocketed her $7.9 million in
The
royalties.
big gangster's a cross-dresser.
And then there's his fingerprints all over key incidents through the years, whether it's the elevator footage or the guest list at Diddy's party.
So I can't believe I just saw what I saw, and that's why I'm like starting over. Let's go look at Jay-Z in a pink wig. Homies over hoes, homies over hoes, homies over hoes, homies over hoes. Do the homie, do the homie. Homies over hoes. Homies over hoes. I'm gonna rewatch Boondocks. I think I have the Boondocks, don't I? Yeah, I'm gonna rewatch the Boondocks all the way through. I'm gonna do it when I go to bed. Here in about an hour. I'm gonna watch like 2 hours of Boondocks today. I love the Boondocks. That's such a fucking good show. Homies over hoes. Homies over hoes. He was talking about P. Diddy and fucking Jay-Z being a crossdresser and shit. I always wondered about that. I was like, who is he talking about? Is it some rapper I don't know from the South or something? That was my assumption. I was like, is it Nelly or somebody weird? I was like, who is he that he's talking about? Turned out to be P. Diddy. Oh my God. So, okay. We have to go look for another YouTube video here. Jay-Z in a pink wig. Please, 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 please. Please, 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 please. Nicki Minaj is accused.
So Nicki Minaj is accusing Jay-Z of wearing a lace front wig. Y'all want to hear the story? Of course you do. That's why you're watching the Bald Girl News channel. And I can't believe it. If Jay-Z cannot escape the scrutiny of possibly wearing a wig, you know we always going to be shamed for our wigs all the time. As long as we're wearing wigs, somebody's always going to...
Show the video. Show the video. Show the video. Where? What? Okay. Let's see if a YouTube or sorry Google search gets me somewhere. I want to see this. The Jay-Z wig. Oh my God. It's so dumb. Is Jay-Z wearing a lace front wig? Oh my God. Oh, pig. That's probably. Okay. Pink wig. Yeah, there's pictures of it. Wait, I'm seeing pictures of it. Where's Jay-Z in the pink wig? Oh, okay, so no, it's Nicki Minaj. Wait, now, so wait, but 50 Cent just mentioned like a wig? So, what? Okay.
Bouquet wasn't Diddy's idea at all, but Jay-Z acting on his behalf. Back when Nicki Minaj posted that video of him wearing a pink wig, all I did was repost it, and he got so nervous he had his lawyers threaten me. In 2015,
That's what happened.
Nicki worked her ass off helping him build his platform, and he allegedly pocketed her $7.9 million in royalties. And then there's his fingerprints all over key incidents through the years, whether it's the elevator footage or the guest list at Diddy's parties. He was involved, clearly, but somehow he always walks away untouched. That's what he's best at, pulling strings behind the scenes while pretending to be spotless in public. And now that a corner of the darkness has been ripped open, I'm not stopping. Everything my team and I are doing isn't about attacking anyone, it's about making sure the truth can't be buried by him ever again.
Oh my God.
Well, folks, it's over.
Bada bing, bada boo.
To be the best at something is already quite difficult. To be the best at hosting parties in Los Angeles is near impossible. I would not be surprised if the best party event planner in Los Angeles is paid in the 7-figure range per year. It's all about the famous caterers, the decorators, a giant ice sculpture shaped like a throbbing Academy Award, because how else will anybody know that you have one? Trays of caviar being served with McDonald's chicken nuggets, because pairing and wasting caviar on something that is not expensive is the ultimate signal of wealth in Los Angeles. These are likely some of the prerequisites on throwing the best parties in LA. Unless your name is Al. Al does not do any of this. But everybody wants to go to his house parties. There are no trays in the bathroom for people to do lines of snow off of. There's not a single fish egg in sight. Just strange invitations that show up at your doorstep. The invitations are vague, but they're pretty straightforward in the sense of, like, it's vague depending on how you're gonna execute it. But, quote, bring a copy of the book that you have most enjoyed. I would spend days thinking about that. Do they mean smut? Do they mean like fun book? Do they mean educational book, self-help book that transformed my life, or book that I had the most hee-hee ha-ha kicking my feet reading? What does it mean? Or another, bring the most interesting person that you've ever met. How do you even get the most interesting person to come with you? Because you're not the most interesting person, they're probably the most interesting person. When you show up, you likely realize that you have brought the least interesting person with you, because there are Nobel Prize-winning physicists. The guy over there works for NASA. He won't tell you what he does, but he works for NASA. Magicians, celebrities who are not even the star of the party. The host himself, Al, will usher you inside with his arm draped around your shoulder as if you've been best friends for decades, even though he looks a few decades older than you, and almost like it is just planned from the beginning. Somehow he's asking you about how the car ride was there traffic, how was it coming up the hills, and then suddenly you're standing in front of a painting on a wall. Is the painting moving? It's likely that later someone at the party will lean over and tell you, oh, you don't know? Al's the world's greatest collector of optical illusions. Apparently he made a lot of money dealing rare books, and now he collects optical illusions like that painting. Al is the type of guy that likes to say things like, reality is that which exists independently of your perception or beliefs. Your perception may be aligned with reality, and then it may not be, and you wouldn't know.
So reality is that which exists independently of your perceptions or belief, and your perception may be aligned with reality, and then it may not be, and you wouldn't know.
I don't know what that means. What does that mean? He's even released multiple books on optical illusions, and a lot of people at the time think that he just has this oddball quality about him. He even gave multiple TED Talks where he talks about how visual illusions are powerful because they violate your expectations. There's this one part where the crowd is just eating up everything he's saying, and you would think that this is like a Netflix debut comedy special. He shows a picture of what appears to be a man and a woman partaking in activities, and this is shadow play. So it's like the shadow of a woman leaned up against a glass bottle. She's like inside the glass bottle. And there's a man behind her, you know, doing what they do. And he would say something like, this is the best example of priming by experience that I know. If you are a child under the age of 10 that hasn't been ruined yet, you will see the image and see dolphins.
Actually, this is the best example of priming by experience that I know. If you are a child under the age of 10 who haven't been ruined yet, you will look at this image and see dolphins.
Yeah, you see dolphins?
No, but it's odd that he says a child under 10 that hasn't been ruined yet. It's just a little weird, okay? And then he goes on to show a picture of a thing that a 6-year-old drew, turned into her teacher. The assignment being, what do you want to be when you grow up? And because of the way that the story is presented, his voice, his tone, his cadence, clearly it looks like this 6-year-old drew someone who might be a midnight ballerina. That's what it appears to be. And the 6-year-old writes on there, when I grow up, I want to be just like mommy. So now the insinuation is mommy is a midnight ballerina, because it looks like someone on a pole and there's a bunch of people holding up wads of cash. The crowd is laughing, and then he shows a letter. This is the letter that the mother sent the teacher. Dear Miss Jones, I wish to clarify that I am not now, nor have I ever been, a dancer. I work at Home Depot, and I told my daughter how hectic it has been last week before the blizzard hit. I told her we sold out every single shovel we had, and then I found one last one in the back room, and that several people were fighting over it and who would get it. Her picture doesn't show me dancing around a pole. It's supposed to depict me selling the last snow shovel we had at Home Depot. From now on, I will remember to check on her homework more.
He's right in a way, because it's like people think something is something, but they don't know what the intent is behind the original creator. And it is how art works. You might really think that your favorite album, you understand it completely, but you'd be surprised how often singers are like, people completely misunderstood my album, you know? And it's unfortunate, and yeah, it's like,
thank you. So it's a lot of weird stuff, but it's not alarming. It's all like fun and games, right? Until the recent release of the Epstein emails. December 16th, 2010. One email from Al Seckel to Jeffrey Epstein reads, the job was far worse than originally expected. You have a dedicated group of people trying to undo and damage you. He's talking to Epstein in 2010 after his conviction, his first conviction. Including now, they have started up again last week, full force again. It's obvious that they can't fuck with your wiki page because we blocked that. So he's going in and he's making sure no one can write in Jeffrey Epstein's Wikipedia page. The woman from the Daily Beast who wrote an article about you, we have programs that track this stuff. And so for the past few days, Mike has been having a cyber war with her minions who are actively trying to undo what we are doing. She's trying to push her Daily Beast and other articles.
This is the first time I've ever heard a pedophilia ring talk to each other. I'm sure evidence exists in the court cases, but they don't like put that shit in the public where a normal person would ever hear it. And it is disgusting. Fucking, I feel like I need to wash my soul. It's like, they're like actively conspiring with like rich lawyers and weird crazy finger men and stuff to just get him out of his mess and silence all of the public and anybody who wants to take shots at him. You know, I think I kind of perceived this where there was, of course, I think there was the documentary, but then he had to do his whole court case and stuff. And I think there's like this period where it feels like it got really quiet about the whole thing. And I wonder if he was actually paying people in the background to just sort of make it seem like it was less of a big deal than it is. That's insane.
Articles back up, so we have to go back and push them back down in the Google searches. Then there was the issue of trying to, you know, create a positive web presence for you with the science and organization sites. I spent literally 4 months of nonstop work creatively and my own political capital to get you this far, which saved you not only time, but countless dollars, and isn't something that can be readily bought. I had people also working for free. We did manage to get rid of the Daily Beast article, which is now far removed in spite of their own efforts to keep it prominent. Wikipedia was an important
Daily Beast, so they just manipulated the Daily Beast thing about the fucking Jeffrey Epstein. What's the Daily Beast? What's the Daily Beast about Jeffrey Epstein? All Jeffrey Epstein by the Daily Beast. Clinton unloads on Trump's plot to scapegoat him for Epstein. DOJ completely redacts sways of new Epstein files dump. More Epstein files photos of Andrew Spark. New royal crisis. Sprawl grinning across several women's laps and flanked by Ghislaine Maxwell. Andrew features in a new snapshot that defines the moral failings at the heart of his horrific abuse of power. So and yeah, in the DOJ files that they release, there's nothing about Trump and Epstein's long friendship. Mick Jagger and Michael Jackson featured in the photos swept up in the Epstein file release. I knew Michael Jackson was a fucking pedophile. Bagon tried to tell me that there was that Michael Jackson was innocent, and I think some weird right-wing coded history guy named Dan something or another. Dan, or what was it? It was like Dan Snyder's agro history or something. I forget the name of it. And Bagon had been brainwashed to believe that Michael Jackson was completely fucking innocent. And I was like, well, I'm open-minded to believe that. But there was 40 victims. And they say a lot of stuff about Macaulay Culkin and Neverland Ranch and all this stuff. And he was like, no, it's all myth, and they try to kill him, and the doctors, fucking killed him. And I think the doctor did kill him, and I think the doctor was probably some kind of crazy, deep state thing. And I think that's the same thing. I wonder maybe if David Bowie was maybe part of this. It's kind of crazy because we had all these celebrity fentanyl deaths all within 2 years, and Michael Jackson died of a fentanyl overdose. All of those celebrities knew better than to do fentanyl, but they were doing fentanyl. They must have been hanging out with crack hookers or something. Who introduced Michael Jackson? How did Michael Jackson die? It was some crazy drug. And Bagon was convinced that Michael Jackson, the whole thing was some kind of cover-up crazy CIA thing or something. And I'm not sure what he really thought about it. But he was like, somebody on YouTube totally blew open the whole Michael Jackson thing. And no, Michael Jackson was in the fucking Epstein files. And that's always what I've thought. I had a fight with a dear friend of mine who's in my inner circle, but we haven't had a falling out. I just never spoke to him ever again. I just don't like the phone just never rang again. I think my friends hate me, and that's okay. I had a friend named D, and he's a good friend. He got me connected with the mental health facility that saved my life. And so I owe him my life, kind of. And I will always think of him kindly and fondly. But we had this furious argument one time. We were at the bar down the street, and I can't even remember the name of that fucking bar anymore. But it was the bar of my childhood, and I can't remember. They're shut down now, but what was the name of that place? I can't remember. But anyways, we were at the bar one day, and Michael Jackson comes on, And he starts dancing and singing, going crazy about Michael Jackson. He's just like, I love Michael Jackson. He's like my favorite pop singer and all this stuff. It's like, yeah, cool, whatever. And he's like, you don't seem excited about Michael Jackson. And he has this pointed thing. He's like, you don't seem excited about Michael Jackson. And I'm like, well, there was like 40 child victims in the media anyways. And he was like, oh no, that was all a lie. And I was like, I don't know. There's that Macaulay Culkin thing. And he was like, no, Michael Jackson was framed or something. And he was like, no, that's all shit they said about him to try and cancel him and all this stuff. There was no evidence or anything like that. And I was like, no, there was court cases. And yeah, while he was a free man, they didn't stick anything on him, I guess. I've always felt creepy about Michael Jackson. And then I said the wrong thing to him. And I was like, I heard about how for many years he was actually very famous for losing like 24 pounds of weight in an hour. And my friend D's like, yeah, cool. That seems kind of cool. He was able to do that. And I was like, yeah, he he's famous for doing a show and then dancing for like, 3 hours or some shit. And he loses, he literally like cargo bulks his like 90-pound frame up to like 125 like the week before with like milkshakes and stuff like this. And then they prop him up on drugs and they dance him out like, because he's like a skeleton now with revitiligo or whatever that thing he did where he bleached his skin white. And now they have to prop him up with drugs because of the skin treatments that he did and all this other stuff. And I was like, it's kind of amazing that a man can lose like 20 pounds in an hour or like 2 or 3. And he was like, yeah. And I was like, my theory is, and I shouldn't have said it, but I was like, my theory is, because this is what I always heard. I was repeating what everybody else I've always heard said. It wasn't me. It was just what I'd heard other kids say about Michael Jackson and stuff. I was like, crack. And he was like, no. And I was like, yeah. Look at the way he moves. Look at the Chimona stuff and look at the dark sunglasses and the pale skin. I believe it is crack. The jerky movements, the kind of like there. He's a very, very good choreographed dancer, and he was very, very good in particular about choreography. And he was like you could tell he was like an exacting person about it. But in the end, I really see a crackhead, and I shouldn't have said it to him. He was just like, no, Michael Jackson is not a fucking rapist, and he is not a fucking crackhead, and he didn't touch fucking Macaulay Culkin, and he didn't fucking do all this stuff. And it's just like, and he was like, I can't believe you actually think these things. And I was like, that is what has been in the media for like 30 years. And I was like, I went on, and I was like, my mother literally believes that LaToya Jackson and Michael Jackson are the same fucking person. My baby boomer mother, who watches all the entertainment stuff. And I told him, I was like, my baby boomer mother, she absolutely believes, she's told me many times before, and I don't think this is true. I told him, I was like, I don't think this one's true, but it's just the crazy rumor that I heard, which is that LaToya Jackson and Michael Jackson are the same person. And when you look at them, like, let's look at LaToya Jackson, right? I come back to that now, and I'm like, I don't know. Maybe my mother was right. It's kind of crazy. I was like, and that really angered me. It's like Michael Jackson is not LaToya Jackson. And my mother's wrong. My mother's wrong. When was this? This was from 2 weeks ago. Obviously, I don't know, man. Isn't that Michael Jackson? No, it's just Michael Jackson's sister, I guess. Isn't that Michael Jackson? I can't believe my mom believes this, but you can see why. She was like, my mother told me this when I was like 20 or something. She was like, I've got a secret. And I was like, what? And she was like, I am convinced that LaToya Jackson and Michael Jackson are the same person. And I was like, I can see the resemblance. She was even like, yeah, we saw her on television, right? She was like, back it up. And I was like, okay. And she was like, look, they're the same person. And I was like, yeah, I think you're right. It's kind of crazy. They're not the same person. They just look so similar. But when you look at their fucking nose, she got the exact same surgery, the exact same hair, the exact same frame, the exact same fucking loppy face from all the surgery and shit. And you can see why my mom thinks this. But I mean, this picture's from 2 weeks ago. Isn't that Michael Jackson? I think that's Michael Jackson. It's weird. She's not right. But goddamn, like I swear to God, they are twins. Are LaToya and Michael Jackson twins? Are LaToya and Michael Jackson twins? Okay, no, she's just his twin. I mean, she is kind of like his twin sister. She is so genetically close to everything that he was. Look, but no, you can see she's got birthing hips. I think they're real tits. I think she got the same nose job he got, and that's what threw my mom. Because when you when you really look, it's uncanny valley how close her face is to Michael Jackson. Let's go look at Michael Jackson's face. It's crazy, and we're gonna compare it together now. And this isn't true, and I don't mean to malign LaToya Jackson. No, you can tell they're not the same person. No, it's a bad rumor. For one thing, he had a much bigger nose than her that definitely did not. Now, he got a nose job, you can tell. But the nose that he got, it's not the same nose as hers. Hers is a nose job, but it's definitely like a quarter of the size of his nose. And no, they are. They're just genetic siblings and stuff. He's always had a big nose. This lady's had a small nose that was cut even smaller for some reason. So yeah, and then and I don't mean to just and then that was kind of an anti-trans thing I just sort of said, if it had been true, but it wasn't about anti-trans. It was about like faking your own death and becoming your sister essentially. And if there's anyone in the world that had the skill to probably do that, it would be Michael Jackson. He had the money, if nothing else. But yeah, if there was anybody in the world that had the skill to do that, it would be Michael Jackson. So I was like, and my mom does believe still that LaToya and Michael Jackson are the same person. And she believes this for other reasons. Like she was like, we watched the Jackson 5, and that's not LaToya Jackson. She was like, there's never been a white girl in the Jackson 5. They were all black. And so I was like, oh, so LaToya got the revitiligo white skin too? And she was like, no, as far as I know, LaToya Jackson never got her skin done. Like, if you look at the Jackson 5, they're all black. Look, all of them. Oh, I mean, yeah, but I guess LaToya was his sister. I thought LaToya was in the band, but no, I guess it's all males, huh? Yeah, they all had that look, and I think she's just his sister. But you can see why my mom thought this, can't you? Look at that fucking frame. The frame of her body is the exact same size as Michael Jackson. And they were pretty much copies of each other. And I think Michael was copying her and she was copying him. So it just fooled my mother into believing that LaToya was like this trans person. Another thing my mom said was that she swore to God that she had seen LaToya's bulge. And she was like, I swear to God, I've seen LaToya's bulge. I think my mother said that to me when I was like 20. And I was like, no, you haven't. And she was like, yes, I believe I've seen LaToya's bulge. In a picture in Vanity Fair or something like that, I think she said. And I was like, I don't think you're right. I did. I actually argued with her. I was like, I don't believe LaToya Jackson and Michael Jackson are the same person. But I was like, I can see why you would say that because they do really, really, really look similar. And it's weird because you do get uncanny valley when you consider Michael Jackson's face to her face. Like, I'm trying to put them together at the same time. Let's see if we can do it. They're not the same person. They're just very close genetically. Look at the nose. Isn't that the same exact botched nose job with a fucking tilt to the right? Or no, he's got a tilt to the left. She's got a tilt to the right. They're not the same person. They have the same eyes. Same eyes. Same eyebrows. Same nose. Pretty close to the same mouth. They are like genetic twins is what it might actually be, and just nobody realized or something. But I believe what we're looking at is genetic twins, but I don't think they're the same person at all. Or although I don't know. I mean, isn't that Michael Jackson's exact tint of skin? Wasn't LaToya born a black girl? Did LaToya Jackson change the color of her skin? Did LaToya Jackson change the color of her skin? Did LaToya Jackson change the color of her skin? Yeah, oh no, she's just had a light skin from birth. She claimed that it was lupus that caused Michael Jackson to be bleached white, but I think it's some kind of crazy rich person's skin bleach. And she was like, both Michael and I have lupus, which, yeah, if they smoked crack out of pipes all their lives, they might actually have lupus. Yeah, they might. Accusations and rumors. Despite her denial, she has been frequently cited in media discussions regarding skin bleaching alongside other celebrities. And, but I mean, yeah, like, okay, everybody in the Jackson family was like pitch black. You've seen it from the Jackson 5. Why did she and her brother get their fucking skin changed? Why? What was that? The girl wasn't born. Yeah, the evolution of Michael Jackson's face, it's fucking crazy. And LaToya was born black, I'm fairly sure, just like the Jackson 5. They were all black. Why did they dye their faces white? And why was Michael Jackson in the Jeffrey Epstein files? Well, we know why now. I mean, like, now it's not removed all of my doubt. Maybe Michael was just a friend with Rich Jeffrey, I guess, just like Trump. It is a possibility. It's something stuck in my mind, all of our minds. And in the background is that reasonable doubt that maybe they just kind of stumbled across each other's lives and never did business, you know? It sucks. It is quite a possibility, honestly. One of the things that I find difficult about this whole thing is, while they can't subpoena Donald Trump's phone records, I think the phone company could leak it. And the phone company that he was using. But no, I think probably since they started getting smart about cell phones, I doubt he's ever been detectable in that manner. So but what I would like to see is a history of phone calls in that era. And if they're calling each other 2-3 times a week, every week or whatever, yeah, they're probably doing business, girls, you know? And that's part of the evidence that I want to see.
To an updated timeline of the crime, then offer my analysis. Rob Reiner was a famous...
Oops, we're on the wrong video. Sorry.
Important victory, and it will always be at the top of the search engine results. Now the headlines do not mention convicted sex offender or pedophile. Instead, philanthropic work, Epstein Foundation, promotion of scientists. We've stopped the hacking on your wiki site, and that was a major effort. Your wiki entry...
So this is that thing we talk about with whitewash. This is what whitewashing actually is. It's like what it actually is. It's like you falling back the trails of all of your indiscretions and then either paying people to keep it quiet or just completely full-blown bumping that fucking website down the list to the point where it's not the initial website that you see when you Google. Crazy shit like that.
Now is pretty tame, and bad stuff has been muted and pushed to the bottom. Careful editing and wording has muted the effect immensely. We also hacked this site to replace the mugshot in the caption. They hacked Wikipedia. These emails are from 2010. What is the connection between Al Sekulow and Epstein? Is this just another one of Epstein's friends who owes him a favor?
Yeah, this is the cultural elite. They do stuff like hack Wikipedia, I think. I've always been nervous about Wikipedia. I've seen evidence before of how wacky Wikipedia actually gets. People have played crazy wars before trying to burn like child molesters and stuff like this. There has been nutty stuff about Wikipedia that I've heard over the years, where they're like, yeah, our definition ended up kind of jibing wrong, and the person threatened to sue us because it was like they like our mistake ended up being their reality and stuff, and it's just crazy.
Al Seckel is actually much closer than that. He's almost family in a way. He is Ghislaine Maxwell's brother-in-law. And soon after these emails, Al Seckel goes...
I despise that my mother thought that LaToya Jackson and Michael Jackson were the same person, because I was like, that would mean that LaToya walks around with a penis in her crotch in public, and that would be very, very difficult to hide. And she was like, what, you don't think they can't just do the surgery? And I was like, okay, I mean, why not, huh? You think that Michael Jackson raped a bunch of children, then bleached his skin white, had his sister bleach her skin white in the public, and then, or no, I'm sorry, you think that I forgot what I asked her, but I was like, you look at the reasoning behind it now. I look at the reasoning behind it now, and I'm like, you're positing that they manufactured a sister in the Jackson family, and then bleached her skin if she was real, or she just wasn't real at all, and then they declared LaToya was like famous, and then they introduced LaToya to the news cycles, and maybe there's a music video or something. I don't know what LaToya's done, but I was like, you understand, like, they probably have been caught in public together. And she was like, no, they've never been seen in public in the same time. That's another part of it. And I was just like, you're making me paranoid. Like, are these celebrities just sex changing and disappearing after they rape children and stuff? And she was like, no, it's not that dark, I don't think. If you look Michael Jackson in the eyes, maybe he was a child molester, but he's not really maybe such a, well, he's like a bad person, but you can tell that he was a benign person. He wasn't like a violent person, I don't think, but we don't know. And she was like, no, I don't think this was about like this. This was about just like living a second life. And my fucking mother, put that thought in my head, and I can't get it out of my fucking head. I think about it sometimes. I'm like, is LaToya and Michael the same person? Because boy, they fucking do look like the exact same person. Even the nose job looks the same. I can see why my mother thought this. And my mother heard this from rumors and stuff like this. Another thing my mother did know, she like really knew, like confirmed, is her friend Tamara was a UCLA like head nurse. And they were best friends for like 15 years. I love that lady. She's a wonderful lady. Great nurse, you know, great lady. She would look at me and stuff. But she told my mom a story one day, which was that Richard Gere really liked giant black men, like 300 or 400 pound black men that would tear him. And then he would like get in trouble, and like they would do these crazy kinky like high sex like cultural elite gay parties where they would put like gerbils in each other's asses and stuff. And I heard that story when I was like 12. You understand? I was like 12 when I heard this story. And it's like, this is too much for me. I'm 12. And my mom was like, yeah, it's disgusting. But she told me on purpose. She was like, this is confirmed by my best friend, who's the nurse at the UCLA. And I was like, wow, I think I said something. We were watching some Richard Gere movie, and I was like, boy, they give him a different lady every single time, huh? And she's like, no, he's gay. And I was like, what? And she was like, yeah, he's full blown gay. And I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. I don't mind. I was just surprised. And she was like, I know he is, because my best friend, she's the UCLA nurse, and she has admitted him like 5 times. And he likes to get ravaged by big black men, and it's this thing that the nurses giggle about, and it's and all the nurses talk to their female friends and tell about him. And I was like, oh my God, are you serious? And she's like, yeah, it's so specific, we believe her. And everybody knows. And then later on, So and okay, so then later on, like 13 years later, and I'm dead serious. Like when I was like 25 or something, maybe it's a little younger, like 22 or something. South Park came out with Lemmy Winks, and that was about Richard Gere. But they couldn't target Richard Gere, so because it would be homophobia. So they made it Mr. Slave. But for some reason, Matt and Trey, they really seem to want to like fucking make fun of the gerbil up the gay man's ass. And they made it the world's business. And there's something about it. It's like outing gay people who are obviously in the closet that I didn't like. There's sort of this whole thing about like gay men like gerbils in their butts or something, which was also really, really terrible. And I wonder if that kind of came back to bite Matt in a way. And like and all this other stuff. And you know, I'm hoping that the audience kind of understood that it's all just lampooning and stuff. But it was crazy to see the Lemmy Winks episode the first fucking time. And I was like, wait, I've heard this story before somewhere. I'm like 20 or something, 22. I've heard this story. I've heard about a gerbil in a man's ass before in my life. Where have I heard that? And I was like, wait. My mom's friend Tamara at UCLA, she told my mother about Richard Gere and the big black men and the gerbil up his ass. And I was like, oh my God. And then South Park did Lemmy Winks. And I swear to God, all of this stuff, all the stuff I'm talking about, it's all the P. Diddy stuff. It's all Trump. It's all this stuff. That was part of it too. It was like Richard Gere was like this crazy leading actor that had so many female actresses over his career and stuff. And he fucked all of them in the movies. And he was running this like crazy debonair, like for some reason he had silver hair all of his life for some reason. Like he was old when he was like 30. His hair was always silver for some reason. Even when he was like 22 or something, his hair was silver like an old man, which never made sense to me. I'm like, why is your hair so silver? You know, do you dye it? I think he probably does. I think he dyed his hair silver when he was like probably 16 or something for some dumb reason. And then he just had to keep it dyeing silver the rest of his life or something. I don't know what it is, but yeah, even when he was like 40, he had silver hair like he was like 80 or something like that. But anyways, a lot of weird stuff about but okay, as an actor, unless he's like some kind of child rapist, but I mean, he is rolling with the orange faces, and he did have weird stories like that, and he is Western cultural elite and all this other stuff. And so like, I'm wondering if it all just connects back to all this freaky stuff that you hear rumors about celebrities. There was another one that The Simpsons did where they were like, Troy McClure likes fish. And then that turned out to be somebody really fucking crazy. And there's all this stuff. And I don't even want to go into that one. I don't remember it. I'm just going to waste time on it. It's just, but anyways, let's go on with other stuff, right?
It's missing. Or at least that's what everybody thought. Until weeks later, there is a stench that leads investigators to the bottom of a 100-foot cliff in France. And there, missing a hand and a foot that was likely eaten by a wild boar, is Al Seckel.
When did he die?
2015.
So he sent the email in 2010.
Yes.
This was exposed in 2015?
No, it was exposed recently.
But in 2015 he died?
Yes.
Huh.
There were allegations that he was a fraud rare book seller. But they say that he self-exited. But it's interesting because how many...
You know, I wonder, you know, there's this episode in Cabinet of Curiosities, which was like a Halloween horror series for Netflix, where there's this rare bookseller played by a German Nazi guy who is conscripted by another German lady who meet, and it's the first episode of the Cabinet of Curiosities, and it's really genuinely fucking scary and really genuinely good. And I remember the story very well. This Mexican lady comes to a storage locker place, and she's like, hi, I'm here to pay for my locker. And the guy, the nice guy at the counter is like, hi, you know, I threw your stuff out like 3 weeks ago. You haven't made a payment in like 3 years. And she was like, what? No, I warned you. I would be out of town in Mexico. I would be out of town for a year. I made a payment before I left. You must have forgot. And I'm here to just get my, you know, I'm here to get in, but you've relocked my locker. He's like, no, it's been 3 weeks and your stuff's like, I sold your locker today. And illegally you didn't pay, you didn't show up, you didn't pay. And she was like, no, I told you I would be out of town. And so he's like, well, I can't help you. I sold the locker. And he points at this dude outside who buys the locker, who's like this right-wing coded crazy Trumper. And he's like, that guy bought your locker. Go talk to him. So the lady goes out and talks to the guy who bought the locker. And he's like, no, fuck you. And you can tell he doesn't like her because she's Mexican and old. And he's like, nah, fuck you, lady. I open lockers. I find what's in them. I resell them. I'm not giving your locker back. And, you know, you should have paid your bills. It's not my fault that you didn't pay your bills and all this. And he says, fuck you. I'm not letting you in. I'm not helping you. And she's like, you should help me, you know. And so then he goes on and he looks into the locker that he bought, because you only get to glance in for a few seconds, like that television show Storage Wars or whatever. And inside is some really, really old stuff. And he finds this seance table that's like completely antique wood. It is fucking beautiful. I believe it's not a set piece. I believe it is an antique Nazi like seance table that probably is considered like a cultural relic that the Cabinet of Curiosities director guy, Giancarlo, or whatever his name is. I forget the name of the director of Cabinet of Curiosities, but this is my favorite episode in that series, and that's an amazing series, The Cabinet of Curiosities. I think it's the best horror anthology ever made, and it's also modern. It's super good. It has cool rat stuff and all cool giant rat kobold stuff and really cool stuff. And in that episode, he like goes and he like tries to sell the seance table, and he asks the guy at the storage locker place if he can connect him with somebody, and they're in cahoots together. They sell storage lockers to him, and they're like friends and stuff. And the guy at the counter contacts this old German lady who does specialty antique stuff. She comes and checks out the seance table, and she's like, there's a piece missing, but otherwise we're gonna pay you a lot of money here, probably like 20, 30, 40, 50 grand, something like that, maybe more. And the guy's like, oh, you're speaking my language. Yeah, okay, let's go, sold, let's go. And she's like, well, I'm gonna have to bring this to a specialty guy that I know, and let's just go. And so then they go, and he's got a busted out window in his truck, if I recall, or something for some reason. And he's like, and he goes and he meets with this old German who's actually a Nazi, but you can tell from the accent and the way he talks, he's like this old Nazi that's emigrated to America. And the guy's like, yes, it's a Nazi seance table straight from Hitler's fucking bedroom. And it's confirmed, and he's like, yes, it's got the marks, it's got the wood, it's got all the witchcraft stuff in it and all the runes, and it's meant to summon a demon. But he's like, but there's a piece missing. And so they go back and they find, and so they all go back to the storage locker and they look for the missing piece, and it's supposed to be this box with something in it, but he doesn't tell the guy who bought the locker what's in the box. So then they find this hidden wall that's always been in the storage locker that goes to another storage locker. And inside is this dead corpse, and it's the sister of this dude from 1920s, and the corpse has been there for 100 years, but it's suspended in some kind of magical thing, and her hair is bound up in the fucking pentagram that she's on, and it's this crazy demon ritual sequence, the worst that I've ever seen in modern pop media. It's like full blown what these crazy like mythological, like, or not mythological, but you know, these crazy like cryptozoic like fucking witchcraft like Nazis like Nazi spiritual science like people do with like their crazy demon summon tables and all their weird like witchcraft and stuff and occultism. And occultism is a very strong theme in the episode. And so then I won't spoil the ending if you ever watch Cabinet of Curiosities, but like they summon a demon, and the whole thing is it's like this trap to bring somebody back to the fucking storage locker, like the dude who bought the locker, so he can feed this lady who's been suspended there in animation and binded there through magic, through her hair that has been growing, because she doesn't die, has been growing for like 100 years, so the hair binds her to the whole magic circle. But then he cuts his finger on blood or something, and the blood touches the seance circle, and it responds to the seance table, and then they summon a demon right then and there, and then she kills both of them. And it ends, and that is the ending. I ruined it, but it's a horror it's a horror thing. Who cares if I ruin the ending? It's just, it's a horror television show. You know that the main character is gonna die. That's exactly what happens. It is fucking crazy. You don't like the guy that dies because he's a stuck-up piece of shit, like really gruff, like fucking Trumper dude. Really stereotypical. So you're like praying for something bad to happen to him. And it does. It's fucking terrible. And the funniest part is, and there's this weird racist thing at the end where the Mexican lady comes to the window at like 4 a.m. at the storage locker when they're trying to find the seance table, and they summon a female demon that slaughters them then and there in the storage locker. And the story's really good. I love horror like that, and I remembered every minute of it, and I've seen it like 10 times because I was always like, is that what these cultural elite do? They like do seance tables and summon the dead, and they bring demons in from hell to like correspond with them, and then they use the demons to protect themselves from their child sex allegations and stuff like this. And you would think that it's all some crazy QAnon truther, crazy bullshit or whatever, but we hear stuff about their Satanism all the time, and I've seen pictures of Bohemian Grove, not pictures, but video of Bohemian Grove that Alex Jones got of all of them jacking off into a coffin with George Bush Jr. in the fucking coffin, and they're all in their crazy suits and their crazy KKK outfits, but they're all in a circle jerk with a fucking coffin and shit like this, with a burning goat in the background. And the quality of the video is really bad because Alex Jones got it in like 2001 or something like that, and it was the American Funny Home Videos era, where like you scratchy, grainy VHS recorders, and so you can't really tell totally what's going on, but the whole world has seen that fucking video, and that is the Yale Skull and Bones, and like more like Skull and Crossbones, but Skull and Bones, and that's them jacking into a coffin to initiate George Bush Jr.'s fucking initiation as the American president and the #1 ruling leader in the world. And that's what he had to do to get the blessing from Skull and Bones, is he had to do like this demon ritual with them where they summon a goat and sacrifice it. And I've seen the video. I've seen them do it. I saw what they did. It's fucking disgusting. They get in a circle jerk and they jack off on top of him while he's inside the coffin. It's disgusting. Before this, we also see George Bush Jr. shake Obama's hand. And Obama was in power, and George Bush was in power, and Obama was running. And you could tell they were having this crazy clandestine meeting at Bohemian Grove, and Alex Jones caught them shaking hands on camera. And I was like, that's not supposed to happen. What is the Republican doing meeting with the Democrat in some private fucking Bohemian Grove thing? And they're shaking hands, and they're like convening for some world summit that they don't tell us about. And it's fucking crazy. And then they jack off into a fucking cabin, and so many into a coffin, while George Bush Jr. gets initiated by all these crazy Skull and Bone occultists, Freemasons or whatever. And you might think I'm crazy and I'm just making this up as I go, or I'm repeating QAnon things that people typed into a Reddit post or something. But no, that video was very, very, very famous. A lot of fucking people have seen it. You've seen it other places too, like the beginning of the end of True Detective is exactly that scene. If you've seen the end of the first season of True Detective with Matthew McConaughey and what's his name? Woody Harrelson, right? You will understand that, like that weird pagan ritual goat sacrifice thing. There's another thing that the cultural elite do that we've seen in shows before. Like there's a Dexter episode that has a very brief part that they don't talk about or even really explain, where he's trapped in a fucking house with a serial killer that he's trying to get. And the serial killer is in a Minotaur costume, and he's trapped in this crazy maze that the Minotaur has built, right? And he has to like get in there, and the Minotaur has like a giant axe and this burning mask and all this crazy shit, and this crazy 6'7" dude. And we know that iconology comes up in television all the time too. We know that the cultural elite also like to build Minotaur mazes, probably hedge mazes and Minotaur mazes. I always thought that maybe Kubrick was alluding to it with the in The Shining with the giant hedge maze. And I think that was supposed to be this thing about the crazy things that rich people can do with their money. If you think about it, a hedge maze is something that a lot of rich people have. And I swear to God, there's some kind of weird hint that you see in all kinds of Hollywood movies and television stuff about a Minotaur chasing either like a victim or a dude or Dexter or a little girl through the fucking maze. And there's been a ton of pop media about that. Dexter was something that did that. There's other stuff that Dexter's done that was kind of like that, like the Tableau stuff that they did, the Tableau killer. That's all stuff that was like really fucking weird, that is occult and nuts. That Tableau killer stuff about how the killer is actually dead. He was played by Edward James Olmos, but the killer is actually dead, and it's like his young protege that's doing the Tableau killings. But you don't know that because all you see is Edward James Olmos, right? But who it really is this much younger man, and I forget the name of the actor, but he's really, really good. And that's all weird, crazy Freemason imagery stuff too, which is like, there's a Batman episode called If You're So Smart, Why Aren't You Rich?, which has all this cultural stuff about the Riddler and how he was supposed to be this rich toy designer, but then this fucked up scientist or something, I forget, steals his patent in the Batman the Animated Series. And so the Riddler builds this giant fucking maze, and he abducts the guy that he's fucking angry with, and he puts him in the fucking maze, and he builds this giant metal fucking, a giant metal fucking ox that just stomps through the fucking maze, and it's meant to crush the guy who stole his patent and made his, and as he steals the patent and fires, Edward Nygma, he's like, if you're so smart, why aren't you rich then? Why do I need to steal the patent? If you were rich, etc., you wouldn't be working here, and then I wouldn't steal the patent from you while you work for a low wage. And this causes the Riddler. It's like this thing about stealing someone else's idea that causes like really smart people to go crazy, and it is psychosis. I don't know what the name of it is. It's probably stealing, honestly, but yeah, the Riddler, he was like this thing. He I don't know what his like. Let's go see what the AI thinks about this, but let's go see. What psychosis was the Riddler supposed to represent in the Batman series? Because they're all different things. Like the Scarecrow is fear, Penguin is gluttony. It's OCD and it's OCD, right? It's like Edward Nygma was, and so was the Clock King too. The Clock King was a Batman villain that was actually really cool. But yeah, there's these so it was OCD, and it's also narcissistic personality, which is that. So a narcissist might start to have like a Granby tank. Like level of vendetta with somebody that they think has ripped them off, right? And so the origin story of Edward Nygma, or the Riddler, is like he's working at a toy manufacturing company that's owned by Bruce Wayne Industries or whatever, the Wayne Industries, excuse me, and he and this was in the Batman animated series, which was how I come across it, and he has this crazy idea for the Minotaur's Maze. And he's like, here's the Minotaur's Maze. It'll be a really amazing game that the kids will all love, that they'll make video games and board games out of. And the company goes crazy. They're like, you made a really good toy. It's so fucking good. But we own the patent on the toy. And Enigma's like, no, you're going to make millions from this. And you have to pay me. You have to pay me some kind of crazy stipend or percentage. Pay me half. And they're like, no, you work for us. It's our idea. And because Edward Nygma is this like totally self-obsessed, OCD, detail-obsessed narcissist, he just believes that because it's his idea, is somehow not Wayne Industries, property, because he came up with it, right? But the problem is he's on Wayne Industries' payroll when he comes to come up with an idea, when he comes up with the idea. And being the narcissist, he just believes that he's more important than even Wayne Industries and that he should have the money. But I mean, if you're working for Wayne Industries and you know that your job is to come up with ideas for them to sell toys and they pay you a flat career wage for that, you can't complain if they use your patent and make $1 billion and don't pay you, right? And this is an old corpo thing, that whole Edward Nygma thing, and it does speak to these weird fucking Illuminati people that rape children and stuff. Another thing that they do is they do the Minotaur Maze, and it shows up in modern television all the fucking time. There was a Dexter scene, there was a Batman scene, there was a True Detective scene, there's occultism all over television. And we don't know why. I think the right wing would say that it's for some race like running the media or at least, entertainment. But no, because we know that all of these directors are like, for instance, Nick Palazzo is not Jewish, I don't think. I think he's Italian. So it's like, I don't know, so it's like, and that's the guy who made True Detective. You couldn't say that it's some weird race that's like trying to control the media or something like that, like the right wing says. It's writers that are trying to leak out the truth in their television episodes because they're like creative genius writers, and they want us to start stumbling on the little crumbs that they've left about hints that they've either heard or witnessed about the cultural elite, the cabal that runs the QAnon circle. And I keep thinking about all these weird scenes in Freemasonry imagery that I've seen on television and in books and in movies and stuff. I think you remember that movie Ghost? I think the way that Patrick Swayze dies in Ghost, where the window chops him in half, I think that's actually an Illuminati reference to hell being connected to heaven in a giant infinity symbol that the Luciferian fucking Freemasons believe in, where there's like death and life are like this endless circle, and they're supposed to be the center where the infinity symbol meets. And I've seen crazy Illuminati like imagery and artwork and stuff where you'll see this foul thing where they're like bringing back the dead at the end of the infinity symbol, and the dead are rising again and like coming back up as babies and shit. And it's fucking crazy. And we've seen so much imagery like this, and you'll see it all over television. And now I keep thinking like as the P. Diddy exposure happened and the Jeffrey Epstein exposure happened, a bunch of this stuff is digging out of my memory of all these little crumbs of stuff that writers and musicians and television people have been trying to tell us about the cultural elite without getting themselves killed, I think. And we know that these people like to hide in plain sight, so they don't care if somebody talks about them. But I think they do care if you mock them. I don't think they're power people who really don't like being made fun of. I think they do care if you do something negative to them, So, I don't know. I don't think they care if you talk about them or imply that they exist. I think they're flattered by that. But if you do anything negative to them, I think they destroy you. So, and this is evident in stuff like Patrick Swayze getting chopped in half by that mirror, becoming a ghost, living long enough to talk to, or not living, but living as a ghost, not living, but quite the opposite, dying as a ghost long enough to talk to Whoopi Goldberg. And I don't know why, but if you think about industry success, like Patrick Swayze and fucking Whoopi Goldberg, they exploded. You understand? Exploded. And that's another thing, that whole shaping the narrative thing that Fiddy keeps getting at, about how they like to basically industry plant somebody. And I think this is because of all their internal contracts and dealings with their child sex stuff that they hide, and all the adrenochrome stuff they do, and all the wars and the rape scenarios and the fucking Minotaur mazes that they build with their hedge mazes and Prince Andrew and all this shit that they do. And I think it's all connected. And now I'm thinking of all these weird television scenes that seem to have been the warnings. And my best friend, he's like a symbology expert. One of his hobbies is to look at, he was very fascinated by a particular book that is all of our military symbols, all U.S. military symbols. And if you look at some of this stuff, it is absolutely fucking crazy Illuminati stuff. Yeah, it's like, yeah, he has books full of this stuff, of divisions of infantry and cavalry, and you will see all kinds of fucking occultism, Nazism, eagles, and weird magic shit and stuff. And for some reason, yep, the United States service symbols, there it is. That's the book he was fascinated with. And my best friend, 25 years ago or so, was sniffing around at symbology that the Freemasons were leaving out in the open, particularly in the army. And if you look at these symbols, almost all of them are either peace symbols or Nazi symbols. For some reason, our armed services, they form platoons and they use weird, crazy, like numerology and symbology that only Freemasons would know. And we know that the military has a steep tradition in Nazi fucking symbology. And it's right there in front of you on the cover of this book. I can make it bigger. There, see it? All of this looks like Nazi shit, doesn't it? There's the Nazi eagle. There's the Nazi Iron Cross. There's the Nazi eagle again. There's the Nazi eagle. Cross swords is a big thing. The whole skull and bones thing. Something about skull and bones. Crossed flintlocks is a Freemason thing. The hammer and the sickle is a Freemason thing. The hammer's cross is a Freemason thing. The anchor of the world is a Freemason thing. And then the Nazi eagle on top of it. And remember, these are all United States service symbols that were taught to us by Hans Scharf, the lead SS Luftwaffe Gestapo interrogator that we brought over here to teach our fucking military and police services how to fucking be Nazis. And this is because of Hans Scharf. You can see it. There is Nazi symbolatry in every single American service symbol. It's my friend was absolutely completely mesmerized by this. He somehow stumbled on it. He looked at the cover of a book one day and he was like, why does every single fucking American symbol used by our armed services pretty much the Nazi Iron Cross or the eagle or crossed swords or crossed arrows or crossed flintlocks? And it's weird because all of them are weird Illuminati symbology. If you look for it, you're gonna see the infinity symbol here. Do you see it? Do you see in this crazy Nazi Navy symbol? And it is a Nazi Navy symbol. I don't care what you think. That is a Nazi Navy symbol. If you can't see it, you're fucking blind. This is a Nazi Iron Cross right on the dead center of the fucking book page or the book cover, right? This is a Nazi symbol, but it's a U.S. Navy symbol with a fucking crazy Illuminati fucking thing. This is my trutherism. It's I'm not accusing the Navy, or sorry, the military or the Navy of being insider Freemasons or anything like this. I'm not accusing our armed services of any kibitzing or problems or any untoward stuff or anything sordid or anything like this. You can just see all of the Nazi symbolatry in what I consider to essentially be a court document. It's like a court document. It's a book that's been published. You can bring it to a court of law and show that almost all of the American symbolatry is either Freemason triangles, cross pistols and cross penises and crossed arrows and cross swords, the fucking weird medical snake eating the angel, which is a Luciferian doctrine thing, the eagle perched across the fucking infinity symbol, and the infinity symbol is actually a crazy visual metaphor for their belief that Lucifer will rise from the fucking dead, make the dead rise, and cause them to be babies, and then they will become the human race. That's actually what they believe, and they think that Lucifer is God, and that Lucifer will ascend to heaven again. And you could go look at all Freemasonry stuff, or Luciferianism, or look at the Wikipedia pages if you don't believe me. But everything I said can be proved in a court of law. Everything I said can be proved in a court of law. I really mean it. I mean, the book's right the fuck in front of you. Am I making it up that every single American Nazi symbol, American service symbol looks like a Nazi fucking swastika, or a Nazi Iron Cross, or a Nazi eagle, or a Freemason triangle, or a Freemason fucking symbol, or cross penises, or cross flintlocks, or cross guns, or crossed arrows, or anchors with snakes on them, or angels with snakes on them, which is this whole thing about the infinity symbol thing of Lucifer will rise to heaven again, and God will be descended to heaven, and everything on earth will die, and then it all gets reborn again, and the dead become the babies, and then the babies become humans, and then the humans become the dead, and then the dead become the babies. And that's all here in all of this symbology. So there's the infinity symbol, there's the infinity symbol, there's the infinity symbol. I don't like talking about this, it's frankly dangerous in public, infinity symbol, the eagle itself is an infinity symbol, all of it's infinity symbols, because they believe in this shit. There's an infinity symbol. They think that Lucifer is going to rise to heaven and God is going to fall to hell. And they put infinity symbols in everything that they do. My best friend used to just sit there and lecture me about this for hours and hours and hours. And I'm like, yes, you're right. I don't know what it means. I don't know. You're right. You are absolutely right. I can see the fucking Freemason triangle everywhere I look. There's a Nazi star, Nazi eagle, Nazi symbols, Nazi fucking, Nazi infinity symbol, iron star, Iron Cross, anchors, like I swear to God, all of them, these weird, rich, Illuminati fucking people that control our military and our fucking politics and our money and all that child sex that they do. There's something that they have about the CFR or the Trilateral Commission or the IMF or the WTO or something, where they want to be the fucking New World Order and be the anchor for the entire fucking world. And you can see that in the Marine Corps symbol that's got the eagle on top of it, Semper Fi. I'm not talking shit about Marine Corps. I'm talking about, it is obvious that Nazis invaded our fucking armed forces and pushed their symbolatry on platoons. You can fucking see it. If you can't see it, you're fucking blind. And I know who did it. It's Hans Scharf. Hans Scharf did this. Hans Scharf came over here. We pardoned him, even though he was basically the worst Gestapo guy. We'd had him teach our FBI and our CIA and our cops and our intelligence and our spooks and our drunks. And this is what he taught them. And this is what our military is. I think they are kind of in league with the fucking orange turd face crowd. I think they are. They're in league with them. They go to the wars that they tell them to go to. They scare the shit out of the fucking insurgents. They scare the shit out of the civilians to make them insurgents and stuff. And yeah, they are like the muscle for the fucking Illuminati. You can see it in their symbolatry. And this is why I respect and love and treasure our armed services, and I really do. It sounds like thoughts and prayers, but I even tried to join the Navy because I was kind of curious to see it firsthand. I was. I'm still curious to see it firsthand, crazy. But I mean, look, there's a coffin. They like coffins. They like stars. They like infinity symbols. They like cactuses and weird angels being eaten by snakes and crossed penises. They like missiles. They like erections. They like They like what's it called? The cross. What's that called? The cross. They like the cross. It's all over everything. They like that Christian cross. They really like it. They're not Christians. They believe in Lucifer. They don't believe in Christ. They don't believe in Jesus. They believe in Lucifer. And I don't care what you think. I'm just telling you what we know about them. That's been confirmed. This is stuff in court cases and stuff they've left behind, symbology that they've left. If you're blind, if you're blind, you won't see it. But I mean, it's all over everything the Freemasons have done. Every government building has all of these Nazi symbols all over it, and they're hiding right there in plain sight. And anybody with a brain can see it. Our airports are like this. DIA is like this. DIA, the Denver International Airport. We know they love Denver because fucking Palantir moved there, and fucking and Peter Thiel, the Antichrist, like pretty much rose to the earth with Palantir, became Sauron, and settled in Denver, a mile from where I was born. You know what I'm saying? And it's not some fucking accident. I don't know what it means, but whatever it means. But if you look at the Denver International Airport, Illuminati art, you will see a great deal of it all over the fucking airport. Here it is. This is a great fucking picture of that whole infinity symbol of dead becoming babies and babies becoming dead again. Like that, you're going to see it here, like all this stuff. If Google was competent, I can make it big, but they're not because it's, the orange turd face crowd. So they just pass cost of business on to all the people that they want to slaughter. They don't care how well something works. So there you go. And yeah, see the fire of the 9/11 before it happens, or maybe after, I'm not really sure. It's the fire of 9/11 that they caused, moving down into some lower realm where there's a coffin and a little girl, and there's like these things perched around the coffin, like soufflating to the little girl. There's something that they do about the United Colors of Benetton. See it? They always have every color and every race, because I wouldn't say the Illuminati are particularly racist. I think they use racism as one of the premier tools to get the muggles to do what they want. I think they use racism. They have these weird shit about, you've seen it before in Stephen King's It. They've got a weird thing about a space turtle. And L. Ron Hubbard was trying to talk about that, about the Phaeton thing, the Phaeton guy that comes from a volcano. This is what Scientologists actually believe or whatever. This is what Mormons actually believe and all this. And it's weird, but Illuminati people believe that there's like a space turtle and a space whale. And you've seen images of it all over the place, like at the end of it. The end of it is another weird, crazy Illuminati thing where they all go to space and they realize that there's like a crazy fucking portal in the sewers below their houses and in Derry, Maine. I love that fucking book. And like in the portal is like a space turtle that's out in space that's like the size of a fucking, like a planet. And it's this cosmic turtle that's actually a whale. That's like, I swear to God, you can see it in this image. If I could get Google to be competent, but Google is run by them. So I mean, if I could open the image in the new tab, you can see what I'm talking about. But right here, there's a fucking whale being spawned from a turtle that's dead on the beach. And notice there's the old theme of the whale is sprouting into the sky as something dies, like the turtle down below. Here's a bird sprouting into the sky and a penguin freezing in a block of ice or something like that, which is some kind of hint about what they've done up in Antarctica. There's like something about penguins. They do stuff about penguins for some reason because they've conquered Antarctica and they're proud of it. There's this weird thing about dead cats and weird, crazy Illuminati flowers like the Columbine. Remember Columbine? The shooting? But they like Columbines for some reason. See all the Columbines? I know because I'm Colorado. And guess what the Colorado state flower is? Columbines. Guess what happened at the Columbine High School? A lot of death, And and there's Quetzal. There's Quetzal. It's the weird bird demon that they fucking worship. That's like Lucifer's I don't know, Phoenix or something. I don't know what all this shit is. Quetzalcoatl, you'll see that in Final Fantasy. All of the espers, which means ESP, which is extrasensory perception, right? Esper is somebody who has extrasensory perception. So the Final Fantasy like software developers, they made all these espers sound like old dragons that you would hear from like say Skyrim or like Lord of the Rings and stuff. But old dragons named like Quetzalcoatl and stuff like this are also really crazy Illuminati fucking symbolatry and stuff. So you see weird shit like this where they're like Quetzal, and there'll be some weird writing there that you can't read, and it's impossible to interpret because it's like mumbling basically, but they're mumbling something about some ancient phoenix thing named Quetzal that's going to burn us all in 9/11 fires. And I wish, you know, and this is what's at Denver International Airport. Does this look like something that should be adorning the walls of an airport? There's all these dead people down below. That's a reoccurring thing with Illuminati symbology. I was fascinated by it, like when my best friend was. There's another bird. See, there's a bird. There's a bird. It's like, where's Waldo? There's a bird. They got to think about birds. There's a bird rising right there. The whale is a bird in a way, and it's also the penguin, and the penguin is also the whale, and the whale is also the bird. And notice that was all stuff that we saw in Skyrim. If you notice, we've seen these symbols before, and we've seen it in Skyrim. The whale, the bird, and the moth, right? But the whale, the bird, and the moth it's not a moth. We all said moth. And of course, Bethesda, the place that Jesus was born, thought that or not the place that he was born, excuse me, that would be Nazareth, or was it Bethlehem? But you know, but in Christianity, there's a very strong thing about birds, you know, something about, and the fishes and stuff, the whales and the birds and stuff. But notice that we've seen this before somewhere else, and I see it right here looking at it, but I didn't see it the first time I ever saw this picture. But I've seen these symbols before, and so have you. It's the Skyrim puzzle in the Barrow Downs, right outside fucking Riverwood, right? The first dungeon in Skyrim. Yup, and the first puzzle to open the door to get your first dragon power is understanding the three symbols and how common they are across so much media and so much shit. There's the bird, the whale, the turtle, the bird, the whale, the Columbine, the bird, the whale. There's another bird. See, there's another bird back here that's fire. See the bird and fire? It's a phoenix thing. They believe in the phoenix thing. Notice all these weird lines. They've got a thing about these weird lines, and you see that on the Japanese flag. This is the rising sun and stuff. And so they and you can tell that they respect Japan. You can see that they love Japan, so they put the flag of Japan right there. And if you're good at, you know, seeing symbols, you would understand. They really like children. Almost all of the Illuminati art is children of every race from every country, and that's Jeffrey Epstein. You know, that's his MO. So we know that they like to include the children in the pictures, and there's this weird thing about all the adults are dead and are becoming these children, and then the children are burned by the bird, the whale, and the penguin or whatever, and then they become these weird dead things below. Now we move on to the next crazy mural in fucking in Denver International Airport, which is all the same stuff, birds and whales and, you know, fucking United Colors of Benetton, but all children, all the children that they rape from every country. I swear to God, it is like this. I wouldn't say it if I didn't think it. Like, it's all the children that they abduct and rape from all the countries and stuff. There's this theme of there's dead below and life above. There's a gay rainbow. See it? there's like peace and paz and alafia and all these crazy like words for love and peace and God and stuff, and all these crazy foreign languages and stuff. There's all of these flags rolled into one, but there's swords in the middle of the flags, and there's their two crossed swords again. Their penis is being crossed, right? And that's all over the place. There's the bird in the background. There's the infinity symbol right there. You see it? There's the Fibonacci sequence. There's the turtle. It's dead in this one, but the turtle is dead and it's down there. There's the turtle. There's the turtle shell. There's the minotaur. It's a minotaur. It's a priest. It's a pope. It's a dead turtle. It's an alien. There's so many things. There's white doves of peace, but understand that they're standing on something dead. There's Macaulay Culkin for some reason. He's swinging the communist hammer. They really liked Macaulay Culkin for some reason. Young blonde boy who looks Aryan, basically. Like something about that. But if you notice, they really liked United Colors of Benetton, but they're all children for some reason. Notice that children is always a recurring thing. There's all the Jewish and Middle Eastern flags being wrapped up in a bundle of swords because they believe in that. There's the British flag and the Italian flag. Is that Italian or Spain? I forget. That's Italian, I think. There's the British and the Italian flag wrapped in a bundle of sticks or swords, depending on how you look at them. Here's the infinity symbol again, right there in the center, but it's a bird and a curved sword. Take a look at this curved sword. We've seen this somewhere before. See this image right here of this bent sword? We saw this before in the Jeffrey Epstein picture earlier tonight. We've seen this before. You see this weird bent picture of a sword right here? This is the exact corner of that room outside Jeffrey's cell when they killed him. And this is the exact shape of that thing that I said was Photoshop manipulation. This is the exact same shape, and I will prove it too. We're gonna go open up Jeffrey's jail cell video, right? Jeffrey jail cell video, right? And there it is. So notice.
All right, we're going to begin this.
This is a doctored photo meant to protect Donald Trump and the Illuminati, who are about to be outed, but they hide in plain sight. Who cares? And we see this weird video here. And I immediately was like, what the fuck is that? Remember tonight, I'm back here again, like 5 hours later, or whatever, like 10 hours later, and I'm like, look at that weird fucking symbol. Like nobody would ever build architecture like this. Nobody. It's so freakish. It's a cult. To have this in a building, you'd have to freakishly, occultishly build the building. And maybe that's common in really deep, high security prisons that house these kind of people. But no, I don't think so. And you see that little symbol right there? We've seen it before. It's like a signature, a symbol. We've seen it before. See it? Right there. That weird black corner that's supposed to be a wall, meaning a wall, but it's actually tucked in a weird corner. It's an artist doing a bit of Photoshop Illuminati flair. That same image, I've only ever seen it one other place. There it is. See it? I think they signed their photo. This one's like a smile. This one's like a frown. But they're the same jagged, fucked up, weird bent sword that you would never use. Weird Chris or something. I don't know what it is, or flambears or something. But there is something. And now here it is upside down. And there it is upside down again. It's like a ribbon upside down where they say Assalamu alaikum and stuff like this. But this upside down dagger, it exists in this image. Do you see it? It's right there. It's right the fuck there. It's their symbol. Weird bent fucking dagger. And it's right there upside down. because you wouldn't be able to do it like this. You know, you wouldn't. I don't think the floor would permit you going downwards. So they flipped it upside down, and they left a nice little symbol to show us that they doctored this video. And I know it sounds fucking crazy. It sounds like some crack fiend who's done too much drugs, who's looking for symbols in the corner of the room outside Jeffrey's cell. But I mean, it is the same fucking picture. I'll say it is the same image. It's the same. I've seen this image before a lot. You know, it is this weird curved scimitar sword. That's what this is. Do you see it? It's a weird curved scimitar shape. It's like a boomerang shape, like a scimitar. Nothing looks like that except boomerangs and scimitars. So you can tell that it stands the fuck out. This really bothers me, this right here. This bothers me more than the cell does, because there is a line that you can see in this photo. It's a weird, clear line. You know, there is a clear line right there where supposedly the corner of the wall is, but no, there's no two corners meeting here. It's a photo superimposed over another photo. And like, there's like, you know, and there's like a weird signature here too, because you can't get this physics in the real world. You'd have to do it in Photoshop. You would never be able to get these physics in the real world, not with walls. No, I mean, you could, but you'd have to build it like that. And I don't think the prison built it like this. This is their giveaway. It's like a symbol that they left for anybody who knows how to look. Maybe I just cracked their code. If there's any Illuminatis watching in my fucking channel, take me away, please, or whatever, you know. And I'm kidding. And I'm actually really kidding. I hate them, but it's just like sort of dumb. If I cracked your little code, I'm sorry. It's just your fucking symbols are very fucking easy to see. Let's go on to the next. Denver International Airport symbology. There's the dead turtle again with the two doves and a brush cleaning something, a little girl's brush. And there's the bent boomerang. See, there's the bent boomerang upside down, looking like looking like Jeffrey's jail cell shot. And I think I've made my symbology knowledge known. I think we saw what they're up to. It's kind of weird. Why does the Denver International Airport look like some kind of like visual Bible for the Freemasons? I don't know, but it exists.
Many self-exits connected to one case.
Why Denver is? I know why. I'll tell you why. Because they're not stupid. They're smarter than people that live in New York or LA, and they know that Denver is the hub for the Western universe. It is. It's like not just the hemisphere, but the universe. Denver is like the hub for the Western universe. If you're looking at it from a planetary Terran point of view, Denver is the actual hub for the whole Western hemisphere. Not New York, not LA. Fucking Denver. And Denver also can't be nuked very easy. You got to bring in walking nuke capable battle tank or something and bring it into Ohio or something and launch the nuke from there, because or launch it from orbit, which they can do now. They can launch a nuke anywhere to anywhere, pinpoint in like 5 seconds or something, 10 seconds, I think it is. So like, it doesn't matter where you are. They can kill you with a nuclear bomb instantly, or an ion cannon from space. And they've shown us this tech before. I've also seen perfect camouflage, like Harry Potter's invisibility cloak. I've seen military dudes use perfect fucking military camouflage that completely made them go ghost invisible pretty much instantly. I've seen that. I've seen cloaking devices. I've seen Obama's cloaking device fail. I've seen Obama and George Bush Jr. shake hands. I've seen them at Bohemian Grove together. Like, Alex Jones used to actually be onto them, but then he took the supplement money, sold out, made $2 billion, and then got sued. And that's what they do. They bring you up because they believe in elevating things, and then they kill you down, right? That's what they're doing to Donald Trump right now. They build you up, they get you up to meteoric Icarus heights, and then they cut you the fuck back down again. And that's what they're doing to Trump right now.
And what does he?
You want to know why they do that? Because they have their infinity symbol. What must go up, must go down. They're Freemasons. They work with structural stuff for buildings, right? So they know that what must come up must come down. So they like elevating crazy people that they find interesting in the cult of personality. And then they like pulling the rug out from underneath them. And the public loves to see them fall. And the Illuminati do this to people just to entertain the public, so that we don't go hunting for them. I swear to God, you know.
Why is he doing?
And we get all mired up in O.J. Simpson, or, you know, JonBenet Ramsey, or Gary Condit, or, you know, it just goes on. Fucking COVID, or I don't know, more controversial stuff, Afghanistan or 9/11. They just keep us looking at the atrocity all the time, and so like over here with the left hand, and they rob us blind with the right hand, and they consider themselves our stewards, and they think that they're from some other place, and Machu Picchu proves that they might be, but we don't know. And there's all this posturing like they're greater than they actually are. But I think they still bleed and poop the same color as everybody else. And that's my lesson about the Illuminati. No matter how big or entrenched you think they might be, they still bleed and poop the same. I says blue M&M, red M&M. They're all the same color in the end. They're all the same color of brown. They're all the same color of blue blood. They shit the same. It goes to the same sewer. They breathe the same air. They breathe the same water. The bigger they are, the harder they fall. It doesn't matter how big they build themselves up. They know in the end that they're just humans with grandiose ideas. Maybe there's aliens involved, and fuck, I hope so, because that's a lot less boring. But I think it's actually the most boring type of millennia's old greed. You know, I'm sorry, like millions of year old greed. It's just greed. It's always been greed. I drink your milkshake.
This for him. Is this just
okay, guys? It's 4:30 in the morning. I'm going to bed. I got all the stuff I wanted to say out, and tomorrow hopefully there will be more Epstein stuff released so that we can just crucify these shitty rich people that are killing our country. Let's watch this while I post videos, and we'll listen to AOC yell at them. And I love you guys. Thank you so much for your time. You have been watching Skycat Live. I'm going to finish up the stream for 5 minutes and post videos to my YouTube channel. I recorded this entire session free with no edits, and it's going out to free to my YouTube, as in, you know, like just no edits, no stops, nothing. It's just entirely recorded. I will be placing that on my channel now. It will be up in my channel within 4 hours or so. If you like this session, if there was something I said about the Freemasons or the Illuminati or Jeffrey Epstein or money or money chucker, oh sorry, not money chucker, but money chuckers. Damn you, money chucker. That's a South Park joke. F you, money chucker. You know, all the money chuckers. Yeah, the fucking money chuckers. Anyway, so I love you guys. Thank you so much. The invasion of the money snatchers is occurring right now. So tune in tomorrow for more invasion of the money snatchers. I love you guys. Thank you. Hopefully it was entertaining. It was entertaining to me. Goodbye.